Hello and welcome to Film Hunters, where we search for a well-written movie in this day and age.
Today we are talking about the 2003 Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Yes, and full disclosure, I loved it.
Absolutely, it's as good as I remember.
Which was great, because last week we watched Superman.
It was not as good as I remember.
Oh my goodness, I had awful taste in movies as a child.
Well, to be fair, Dad was just like, Superman! I was like, what? We're allowed to watch this?
We can do Superman? Cool. But yeah, so, overall thoughts. Overall, I think we already explained that we loved it. Honestly, it really is a case study, I think, in being able to introduce your characters and introduce the motivations and introduce a conflict early in the film and not getting bogged down by origin story.
Yeah, and especially I think it's a good way of introducing it while showing it, not telling, because I cannot think of a time that they told a single thing. It was literally just them. Anyway, we'll get into it, but
they did list off Green Goblin's powers at one point, and
did they? Oh yeah, well, kind of. And then at the very beginning when he did the narration thing, that was
okay. Yeah,
that was a little much. But other than that, I thought it was
honestly, it was superb.
I thought it was really good. There's a lot of good examples of showing, not telling.
Honestly, I definitely say if you haven't seen this film, go watch it.
If you haven't seen this film, I don't know what your problem is. But
yeah, some people just don't watch movies, and that's their decision.
That's fair.
Other people only watch
Spider-Man.
bad movies.
Like Doctor Strange.
And the
Multiverse of Madness. I didn't say it, but
Marvel fans when the good guys beat the bad guys with quips for the 10th time. Okay. I can't make fun of our audience. I'm just kidding. Our audience is only the most refined and cultured.
If you guys are here, then clearly you are better than
You're better than everyone else.
Better than everyone else.
There is one of you in our audience that is the best. And everyone should think that that's them.
You know, that's true.
In reality, it's my mother. But
amen.
Yes. Anyway. So, let's get on the first part. Started out by Spider-Man narrating.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion you could have deleted the narration and not changed a single thing.
Absolutely. It added nothing. I don't know, maybe it's the thing that he narrates. He kind of does it in a lot of... Maybe I'm just thinking of Hishy. But
No, I think that's what they were making fun of.
Oh, okay.
They were making fun of him. And then the kid's like, no narrating!
Yeah.
Dude, I'm with the kid.
I
no narrating.
Kind of am. I don't know what his issue is. But yeah, it opened with narration, and it was just, this tale is not for the faint of heart. Are you sure you want to listen? Pauses awkwardly.
So.
Okay, I'll tell you.
I think that narration actually, I'm going to make CinemaSins furious. It does have a use. I think it can be used for setting a tone. I think it can be used for a little bit of exposition. And I honestly think those are the two uses. And actually, I'm going to explain a use of narration that I enjoyed. So I recently watched the Puss in Boots 2. If it's still in theaters when this podcast comes out, watch it. It has sadly not even gotten to 200 million. Avatar is way worse than it. Go watch it. I love it. Avatar. Anyway, so it began with him saying, "Starlight, star bright. This star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might. Have this wish I wish tonight." And then it does this in these texts. This is a fairy tale. And he's like, once upon a time, there was a wishing star that fell. And it set a tone of a whimsical tone. Says, okay, there's a wishing star that fell to Earth. And it's in this dark forest. Right. And the wishing star has powers in the dark forest. So it gives that little bit of exposition. And then we move on with the story.
Yes, I will say, though, about the Spider-Man narration is that it did set up a dread promise in that it says, this tale is not for the faint of heart. So it was
a comic book movie. It wasn't even scary.
No, it wasn't. But that's kind of what a dread promise...
Puss in Boots made me more scared.
haven't seen it, so I
do
not know.
If we can't turn this podcast into a Puss in Boots thing, but okay, one of my favorite all-time villains is now Death. And let me just say, as someone who struggles with anxiety, the anxiety in the film was very realistic. Like, its depiction of grounding. Okay, so DreamWorks has this annoying habit of ruining things with a joke. Ruining an emotional thing. And so I thought what was going to happen. So earlier in the film, Perrito, that's the little dog character, makes this joke where he's like, "Oh, Puss, you're feeling bad. Rub my belly," and it's supposed to be really funny, because he's wants to be a therapy dog. So rub my belly. Yeah. So later, Death is chasing Puss, and he's running, and he collapses by a tree. And he's hyperventilating. He's doing the 1,000-yard stare. He's in the middle of a panic attack. Mm-hmm. And Perrito comes by, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they're going to have him whip out his belly. I'm like, no, he just laid his head on Puss.
Aww.
He just pet him, and you saw him slowly manage to calm down as he grounded himself.
Aww.
But we can't turn this into a Puss in Boots review.
Right. Spider-Man.
Anyway, but my whole point is, the Dread Promise was never fulfilled.
What Dread Promise?
Of
him rubbing his belly? It's not Dread Promise.
Okay, yeah.
It's really not.
We're back on Spider-Man.
Dread is... Oh, I'm sorry. I am sorry. I was still thinking of the dog.
No, I mean, there was Dread Promises in that.
Yeah, it was not like... That's why I thought it was so funny when we watched it, because it's like, it's not for the faint of heart. I'm like, I guess, but I saw this when I was like 12, so...
Yeah, it's not, like, if it kind of went scary... Scarier. Yeah, if it went scary, or it was like a very intense film, even then, I don't like the idea of setting up a Dread Promise with narration.
I would agree. The one place that I've seen it in books, not in movies, was in like the quote-unquote introduction, and the introduction was basically nothing else except to say that the thing that will happen in the rest of the book, basically they're setting up a Dread Promise for the thing that happened in the rest of the book, and that was like the only point of the introduction. And that was in a book. It was a good example of a Dread Promise. But in this situation, I feel like they set up a Dread Promise, but they didn't fulfill it because it just wasn't scary.
Yeah.
Or even, like, super tragic. Because his girlfriend survived the movie. Like, maybe if his girlfriend died. Maybe if something terrible happened.
How is that the faint of heart? Like, that kind of...
Like, I was trying to think of something
I would
that
put
would be
in the middle
faint of heart.
Of, like, Blair Witch. Or, like, honestly, it's better in 3. Because, like, he loses his friend and it's got more of a darker tone.
I forgot.
But I'll tell you
I'll
tell you one of my favorite intros of all time. I haven't even read this book series, but I love this so much. The wheel of time turns and ages come and pass, living memories that become legend. Legend fades to myth, and even myth is long forgotten when the age that gave it birth comes again. In one age called the third age, by some an age yet to come, an age long past, a wind rose above the great mountainous island of Tremalkin. The wind was not the beginning. There are neither beginnings nor endings to the wheel of time, but it was a beginning. Like, that right there sets up the tone excellently.
That's good.
It's great. I honestly
still
need to
what book series is it?
That's the Wheel of Time series, which is good.
Well, duh. I still like, personally, in a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit.
I wouldn't say that's narration.
Oh, I was just thinking about first sentences.
Okay,
I was just thinking opening sentences and, you know.
Yeah, but I'm saying that, like, if I made a Wheel of Time movie,
I'd
make that narration.
Yes.
Like, probably done by an older woman or an old man. Someone old.
Definitely someone old. Wheel of Time and everything.
Or maybe, like, the voices turning into, like, gets older as it goes on and on.
Or it gets... Yeah. But we digress.
Yes, we do indeed digress. Now, it opens...
After the narration,
which... It wasn't that long. I remember Spider-Man 3, I was like, get on with it! Yes, get on with it! Literally Monty Python in the whole 8th grade.
I honestly don't remember Spider-Man 3 that much, so.
I remember that because I was like, oh my goodness, this is taking forever.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, they did have the whole intro things, which I can see why CinemaSins gets annoyed when it's like 5 minutes.
That's because CinemaSins watches movies all the time.
Dude, I get annoyed. I'd be like, man, I want to get on to the next paycheck since they got no passion.
Okay, so we open with Peter Parker chasing after the school bus.
Right there, we've just set up that Peter Parker was pitiful.
Yeah, you really did. And then you also set up, coincidentally, Mary Jane's, how she is.
Yeah.
She's compassionate and she will help someone when she can. Now, she may wait several blocks to do it.
To be fair, Mary Jane wouldn't notice him, even if his hair was on fire.
That is true.
But yeah, it very well sets up his character. It sets him up as an underdog, and we naturally are going to like the underdog.
True.
It sets him up as pitiful, not very much of a how do I say it, a gumption. And it sets up, his character not being very stiff in his will, kind of pathetic. I mean, later he like waves and Mary Jane's waving, and then she's waving to someone else.
Everyone has experienced that.
I haven't.
I
just stick my hand up until a taxi comes.
Oh my word! And then you just moved.
And then I start a new life. Yes.
Start a new life. I have had to do that before.
Did I take that from 4chan? I don't know.
That was from somewhere because I've seen that too.
Okay, might have been from 4chan.
Okay.
No, you see 4chan green text everywhere.
Oh.
Like Sir Barrington.
I'm only on Pinterest. So.
Have you seen Sir Barrington?
I don't think so.
Oh my goodness, you haven't seen Sir Barrington. It's this guy in D&D, right? Yeah. So he's a bear, but he maxes out disguise and maxes out bluff. So he bluffs speaking English and disguises himself as a person.
What in the world?
And he has a butler.
For the bear.
That translates it. So he'll go growl growl and everyone thinks he's speaking English, and then the butler will be like, oh yes, that's an excellent idea, Sir Barrington. And he is a sir. And it turns out like at one dinner, someone finally rolls high enough to see through the disguise, and he stands up and he's like, that's a bear. And then he's escorted out and they're like, we apologize deeply, Sir Barrington. It's like one of those legendary D&D stories.
That is hilarious. I had not seen that before.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it also sets up a dynamic, kind of that if we see the bus as Mary Jane, because she is in the bus, and we see Spider-Man, he keeps pursuing her, but he doesn't really get her.
Yeah, he just kind of keeps trying, but not completely.
And you say, the bus stopped. Yeah, because of her. That's why I'm making this comparison.
Right.
Anyway, and then, he gets in the bus, and everyone's like, you're an idiot, you're pitiful. I'm like, dude, is high school really that
And
thing?
they trip him.
Yeah.
Which hurt me physically.
Yeah, dude, not as much as when in Puss in Boots they called it the Spanish splinter. You see when there's a giant.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, that might.
Thank you. I forgot. You already told me this, and I want to hear it again. So,
anyway,
moving on before.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, ooh, and I don't blame them. I'm like, in the theaters, I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like,
my
I don't know why.
fingers hurt.
I don't know why, but like, someone gets stabbed. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
no
problem. But under the fingernail.
Yes.
No. That is literally a torture that I would not wish on my worst enemy.
Yeah. Anyway, so the way the plot starts is, he gets on the bus. Where is he going? To the science lab.
The science lab. Yeah. So I get to the science lab.
And I didn't notice this when I was a child, but they set up all his powers through the tour.
True. Yes. But that's getting ahead of us. We have to introduce Harry first.
Yes. Harry. Oh, and Norman Osborn.
And Norman.
And this is, honestly, this is why I say this is like, so writers, study the first 10 minutes of this movie, the first scene of this movie, on how to set everything up in the first 10 minutes, because everything is set up.
Yeah.
The conflict, the characters, his powers.
Right.
But yeah, we see like how Harry, Osborn, honestly, I think he's an underrated dad. Like, I feel like he's...
An underrated dad?
He's trying, but he's just kind of really worked. Like, he's like, come on, I want to drop you off. But Harry's kind of embarrassed about his dad, because I think his dad doesn't really know how to be a dad.
So when we think of Harry Osborn and, like, the fatherly relationship that he had, the relationship that he has with his dad, there's no mother in the picture. So either she died, or they got divorced, or something similar. So there was some emotional trauma that happened around the mother. So by that time, maybe Norman buried himself in his work, and by the time that he was able to process his grief or whatever the situation was and came back to Harry, by that time Harry was already used to not having a dad, and he was also used to figuring things out on his own. So then Norman comes back into the picture, and Harry's not quite sure how to react to that. And also he's high schooler, and high schoolers are just in general embarrassed of their parents, so I've heard.
I don't know, man. If it was my dad dropping me off with a Rolls Royce, I'd like, you take that thing to the front. In fact, wait a second. There's that girl I like. Make sure to drive next to her and drop me off right next to her. I'm like, yeah, that's my dad with his Rolls Royce. My dad is the president of a very expensive company. You should come by and see our penthouse sometime.
Oh, dear.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
But then again, that's me and not Harry.
I think Harry just really wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
Like, high school's a rough time, and that you really just a lot of people just want to fit in. Like, Peter Parker doesn't fit in. Harry doesn't fit in, but for two exactly opposite reasons, which is kind of funny. There's this juxtaposition, and Harry's kind of like a foil almost to Peter, I feel like.
Which does well to highlight both their characters, I think.
Yeah. And it's interesting that they're friends, too. Like, I think their friendship's adorable.
Yeah. And what's interesting is, are you aware of Akira Toriyama's rule when it comes to introducing characters?
No.
Always introduce two at a time. Like, if you go through Dragon Ball, every single character is introduced in twos. For example, the first two characters you have are Goku and Bulma, and those are introduced as a pair. Then you have Yamcha.
Aren't they married?
No.
Who's Goku married to? Who's Bulma?
Okay.
Bulma's married to...
Bulma's the blue-haired one.
She's married
to Vegeta.
Vegeta, that's his
Goku
name.
is married to Chi-Chi.
Oh, interesting. So that they... Okay.
Because Chi-Chi matched him in a fight, though Goku did win.
That's kind of funny.
And yeah, there's a whole lot of lore. But the point is, all of his characters, he always introduced them in two. Like when, I think it's Yamcha and Pure, they were introduced as a pair. Master Yoshi had his, and that's so that we can get a sense of the characters by the two new characters, by them bouncing off each other.
Right, and also you get to know kind of their interactions and how they interact and such. So,
which Spider-Man follows this rule to a T.
Pretty much, we get introduced to Peter and Mary Jane. Then we get introduced to Norman and Harry. Mm-hmm. And then
Aunt May and Uncle Ben are introduced at this exact same time too.
Yes. Flash didn't really play a big role in
this
movie.
Main characters.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's the only other one.
Like, not side characters.
Yeah, Uncle Ben and Aunt May. I think that's kind of...
Yeah, those are your main characters.
I
mean, I guess we could say the general guy and the scientist were introduced at the same time. But I don't know. We're reaching. But my point is, with our main cast, they're all introduced in pairs. Mm-hmm. Which, that's actually a very good rule of thumb. Because, when you're writing with a deadline, you have to follow rules of thumb.
Right.
And this is a very good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they establish the dynamics, and we instantly see him and Harry and Peter are friends. Yeah. And we already kind of like Peter.
We do.
So seeing them friends, we're like, oh yeah, okay, I like that guy.
And then I think it's really cool because Peter's been kind of downtrodden because he's kind of a runt, he kind of doesn't really stand up for himself and such. And then we have Norman Osborn come up to say, oh, Harry, you forgot this.
Yeah.
And then we kind of get an introduction to also how smart Peter is. Mm-hmm. So he's not just a pathetic character, he's also really smart. So he has good... And
it's very interesting that they introduce his weaknesses before his strengths.
That's true.
Because, I mean, if you introduce... Because, again, first impressions are so important. And our first impression is his weakness. Because what defines a power is not how you can use it, but how you cannot use it. I'll give you an example. Magneto. What defines Magneto's powers is the fact that he can't do it on wood or plastic or any of that. So that creates interesting problems.
Right.
Ways the characters can get around him, ways for him to get around it, like the intro to X2, where Mystique injects the metal into the guy, and then it gets ripped out of the guy. That's very creative.
True, although disgusting.
Is a bit disgusting, but yeah, it's very creative.
At least he wasn't low on iron anymore.
Well, he certainly was after that.
Yeah.
And I think it makes with characters too, in that what is interesting about Peter Parker is not that he's smart. What's interesting about Iron Man is not that he's smart. Interesting about Bruce Banner is not that he's smart. Who's isn't smart here?
Yeah, everyone kind of is. Like, you kind of have to be smart. Except for Clint Barton. I feel like he's the stupid one.
No, don't do my Clint dirty like that.
Well,
I don't know.
he's
smart.
a little. He's
to be a superhero, you kind of have to be smart.
I mean, maybe he's smart, but he's sometimes a little dumb.
What makes Bruce Banner interesting is the Jekyll and Hyde. Is it takes that idea of the darkness within us and saying he, despite his smartness, he can't control it. So all he wants to do is live a normal life, but he can't because the Hulk keeps ruining it, which Marvel then threw out.
Yeah.
Iron Man is that, he's an arrogant, but he's really smart. But once he sees, the bad things he does, he genuinely wants to do good. He's just not very good at it. And so he's doing good in his own way. And so it's interesting to watch him try to do good and improve as a person.
Right.
And then with Peter Parker, it's interesting to see him gain confidence through Spider-Man and overcome his struggles. The interesting parts of these three characters is not that they're smart, it's that we see them overcome their weaknesses or deal with their weaknesses. What's interesting is the weaknesses, not the strengths.
Right, because I think the weaknesses, you have to have a character and you have to grow and have a character arc over the movie. And so in order to have that, you have to have something that they're bad at, some weakness or some fear or something that in the end that they work on and they overcome.
Yeah, which every single film review is a Last Jedi film review is why The Last Jedi failed, because there was nothing for Rey to overcome.
No, she can already lift 3 billion rocks.
And shoot 3 TIE fighters at a time. I think I died a little when I saw that in the theater. Then again, our friend was already dead because of the Mary Poppins scene.
Yes.
He was screaming.
He was legitimately screaming.
I thought
it was hilarious.
I didn't find it hilarious. Okay. I find it hilarious in the way that you find a dark joke hilarious. And then I'm like, what is going on? Anyway.
It was pretty bad. I was literally flabbergasted. I just could not speak.
Yeah. I was very, very speechless. But that is enough of our Last Jedi review for...
We'll bring it up again later.
We'll bring it up again.
That is a dread promise.
That is a very dread promise. The dread promise is when we get to Star Wars.
Oh, dear.
And we do the holiday special.
No.
That is a true dread promise.
Oh, no.
Anyway, so what's very interesting, what I loved... Oh my goodness, this has got to be my favorite superhero exposition, honestly, that I can think of. In that, so you're going through a tour, right? So the scientist lady is doing them through a tour. And so she's talking about how they modified the spiders. And what spiders can do. They can climb up walls, enhance strength. Some of them can even sense danger before it comes. Make intricate webs.
Right.
It's subtle enough that you might miss it entirely.
I did. I missed it the first time. I actually missed it until you said, spider sense. I'm like, oh. So I missed it up until then. I was just watching
Yeah,
Peter be awkward.
It's brilliant. It sets up his powers excellently. Much better than Jor-El going...
3 times, 4 times. How many times was it? It was like
I don't want to look at my Superman notes again to tell.
I didn't write down the number.
I think it was something like 4 times. You will be faster than them. And, oh my goodness, so boring. And it works, and we're also seeing character moments at the same time.
Yes.
Because we have Peter, he shows a bit of chutzpah, and he's like, oh, I want to take pictures, of Mary Jane. And also he's giving Harry, that go talk to her, which is later paid off with them dating and all that.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's very nice. He gets his powers because of a because. As in, the plot starts, we have to accept that that the school goes to this lab. That is the only leap we have to do in the story. He goes to this lab, and he's interested in, the school paper. Okay, those are 2 things we set up. And from that, because he's at that lab, and because he has a crush on Mary Jane, he takes pictures of her, right?
Right,
and because he's taking pictures of her, he's not paying any attention, and he's right by the cages. So because of that, the spider comes down and bites him. If these elements hadn't come together, he wouldn't have become Spider-Man. It's not an accident.
Right. Which is always very good when you have something kind of crazy happening. Like someone becoming part spider. You kind of need a reasonable explanation and a reasonable reason for it to happen.
Yeah, a lot of superhero films, they like to make the power as the starting point, when it really shouldn't. As in, this guy has powers, therefore.
True.
Especially for origin stories. I think Batman Beyond also did this a bit, in that they're like, okay, so his parents died, therefore. As in, he becomes Batman because his parents died. And not just, okay, he just became Batman.
Right. Well, maybe that's why every single time they have to do the parents die, because otherwise...
Just don't show his origin story. Everyone knows it.
So it's just Batman?
Yeah, just Batman. Like, I think they did that in 1989 Batman.
I think...
Which...
No.
Okay,
no, I don't think so, because in the end it turned out that Joker killed his parents or something.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Which I thought
Jack
that was...
Nicholson? I thought that was weird.
I don't know.
I mean, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
What? You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you?
I hope that movie's still good.
I actually hope so, too. I was just thinking about that.
We never actually saw the sequel.
There's a sequel?
There's 3.
There's 3? I honestly thought that was legitimately the only Batman movie at the time when we watched it.
Okay, well, just wait until we get to Batman and Robin.
No, I heard it was bad. I tried to watch Batman Forever until Catwoman got licked alive by cats, and I was done.
I think that was Batman Returns.
You're right.
We have to watch the Catwoman movie.
No.
Yes.
Okay, let's focus on this for now, and we'll discuss it later.
Yes, we will. Not only that, we are going to have a gaming stream where we play the Catwoman movie game.
No. Okay, so they set up the powers with... Oh, speaking of Batman, the teacher sounded exactly like Batman.
Now that I think of it, I think you're right.
Right? Because he was just like... What did he say?
He wasn't like, and then this is the Spider-Man. Everyone, these spiders are really cool.
Because they were sitting there, and then they were talking, and he was like, if I hear one more word out of you guys, you're all getting detention.
If I hear one more word out of you guys, I'm going to send you guys to Arkham.
Yeah, it was basically that. He was kind of actually Batman, so.
Batman exists in the Spider-Man universe.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. The trope I've read of Spider-Man going in the DC universe and then instantly guys, Batman is Bruce Wayne. That's so stupid. I get he's a super genius, but Batman's also a genius.
Yeah, you can't... People forget that Batman's not just about gadgets. And
he made the gadgets?
He made the gadgets. Yeah, because they did the whole thing with Lucius.
I mean, he needs
Which...
So what? People require help. Like,
right,
Oppenheimer had like 100,000 people helping with the nuke. He's still a genius.
Yeah, but I also think that they do kind of forget that he's a really good detective. And he has contingencies for the contingencies.
We need more Batman detective films.
Yeah.
Like a detective film with Batman.
Absolutely.
Leaning more in on that than the action. I think the Arkham series actually did that fairly decently. And like there are times when you're like, oh, this guard was smoking a pipe. So then you go to the Bat Vision and you have to like track down the bits of smoke to like find the guard. Or like look for footprints or stuff. Like actual detective-y stuff. Like detective video games aren't very good, so it wasn't very good. But they made an effort in showing him be a detective. Yeah. Or they did that in the Dark Knight when he had to reconstruct the bullet from the shat pieces in the brick to like find the gun.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember?
That movie scarred me, so I think I blocked it out. Yes, it kind of did.
You might have.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the point is, I think Batman writers need to lean more into him as a detective.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good stories
there. Less just him running around punching fools for...
Biff, bow, pow!
Yeah, pretty much. But, once again, we digress.
Yeah, and then I have double exposition written down.
I have general pool finding.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what double exposition is, so we're going to skip it, but I know what you're talking about.
I don't.
And it's very interesting. Goblin and Spider-Man have parallel origins.
What does that have to do with pool?
That's the general that went and said to him, we're going to cut your funding.
Oh, he's going to pool funding. That's not finding, that's funding. Look, I got bad handwriting. Okay, General wants to pool funding.
Yes.
This makes sense. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
Yeah. So the way that there is, both of them are through a lab accident, basically.
Right. So, yeah. So that's the parallels between Green Goblin and Spider-Man. And they both occur very close to each other.
I'd snap, but it's like awful on the audio, so just pretend I'm snapping right after one after another.
Yeah. So then, and we also have a because the general is going to pool the funding because he's taking literally forever, and all the rats, or I think it was the rats, have died, and like, please, let's move on to human testing. And he's like,
they were like really aggressive in some of them.
Yeah, he's like, literally, they're insane. No.
Back to formula. Oh, that was like such a good intro as the villain thing, because it calls back to.
Yeah.
Calls back to, saying we need to go back to formula, and it's like, ha ha ha, are you really?
Yeah, and he's like, do you think this is a problem? Well, it was. He just didn't think it was.
Yeah, he just didn't think it was. And then they set up the glider and the Green Goblin suit.
They did. And they did it very subtly, because the glider just kind of lands.
Yeah.
And then he's like...
And the judge was like, yeah, I've seen the glider.
I've seen the glider.
I'm actually very confused why he just dismissed that. Because, oh my goodness, please, give me a squad of, SEALs with those gliders. Please, I can go in, kill things, and get out in, 5 seconds. Oh my goodness, the logistics of this as, personal air transport, that's, very narrow, because that's small, so they could actually... So, the soldiers could stash it in a place easily and then come back and get it and get out of there.
Right.
And, of course, you'd have to change the flight suit a bit. But, anyway, I'm just saying, once you, get the hang of it, that is an amazing tactical asset for high-value target assassination, for sowing discord behind the lines. Because I think you could chuck them out of a plane.
Probably.
This could replace parachuters. Give them to an airborne division, assuming the price is within it. And honestly, I'd take those over the Hammer suit. Because mobility in a modern battlefield.
What Hammer suit?
You remember his competitor was working on the flight suit?
Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because unless it's a whole lot faster, or it can stand up to a a shoulder-mounted rocket, it's not going to do much.
Yeah,
because
it's kind of pretty just.
Yeah, because the Iron Man suit retained his mobility, in fact, enhanced it, and was immune to shoulder-mounted rockets.
Right.
Which is honestly why personal armor, it has problems, I'd take the glider over them. And, if there's an actual soldier in the audience that can confirm I'm right, please feel free to speak up.
And if you can confirm he's wrong, that's even better for me.
Oh, come on. No, don't.
Now, the only problem with the glider is that you cannot skip leg day.
Well, yeah.
That deep squat, I cannot.
Just the size of your thighs after flying on that. I don't know why Green Goblin didn't use his thighs to squish Spider-Man.
Oh my word. Yeah. So then we get set up. We are introduced to the scientist. Like, we get the scientist and, like, him and Norman, and they're just kind of chilling together. And then they have this disagreement. And they're clearly very passionate about this disagreement. And the general's like, whatever, I'm shutting it down in 2 weeks. I'm pulling your funding.
Yeah, pulling your funding.
Yeah, in 2 weeks. And so you have the two scientists that have been working together for a while, and now they're having this
conflict.
This major conflict, which
gets paid off, like, immediately.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah. I mean, things get paid off. I mean,
because
spoilers, he dies.
Yeah, by trying to show, I think... So Raimi only had, like, a few minutes to try and set up a relationship before these. Because, again, if he already hates... Because he clearly, like, respects the scientist, even if he disagrees with them. Like,
That's true.
We can see in the tone...
I liked that scientist.
Yeah.
And he disagreed with one of...
Yeah, like, he disagrees with them. And Norman isn't mad. He's clearly upset, but, like, he's just like, what do you mean back to formula? Like, that's something you say to a colleague. You don't get, like... He didn't order him down or anything. Well, I mean, he... ended up, but it's clear that they're colleagues. So we get a very quick sense of relationship. Like, it's not like a huge relationship, but you don't have a lot of time, right. Which is good because
But for some reason, I get the feeling of history between them.
Yeah, I really do get that feeling.
Why. I can't remember why, but I got this feeling that they've been colleagues for a while, and that I don't know if it was just the easiness in which they talk to each other.
It might have been that. It's like acting can do a whole lot when it comes to setting up relationships and dynamics.
Right. Yeah.
And let me just say, William Dafoe is one of the greatest actors in...
Which William Dafoe? Is that Green Goblin? I'm sorry.
You can't see it, but I just looked absolutely dead inside. Yes, that's Green Goblin. And you know the scene where he's talking to himself in the mirror?
Oh my word.
One shot.
Literally my sister and I, we literally just will watch that movie, that one scene, because she likes Spider-Man. We'll watch that one scene and be like, oh, this guy's so good. It's such a good scene. When we praise
the actor, we have to praise William Dafoe.
Absolutely.
He is
so
amazing.
Good.
Yeah. Then, so Spider-Man goes home, and we get the introduction of...
Uncle Ben and Aunt May.
And we kind of see a parallel with Uncle Ben and Norman in that...
That's true. Sorry, go ahead.
That Norman, he's kind of off. He's kind of not really his dad. He wants to be his dad, but he's not really because he's so distant. But Uncle Ben, he tries to be there, but at the end of the day, he is his uncle. He's not his true father.
Right, because he does kind of have these two father figures of Norman and Uncle Ben. I mean, spoilers, they both die.
Yeah. But they have that parallel. Yeah. And, we see Harry blowing off Norman, and we see Peter blowing off Uncle Ben.
Right. And also it's interesting because it kind of very briefly set up that Uncle Ben's out of work, and Norman's about to be pretty out of work, too.
Yeah, and they did it very organically.
Yes, it was very organic.
It's like, he's like, let there be light. She's like, oh man, I wish there was, work for an electrician like you. It kind of like, it's not like he helped with some eggs, and then she's like, man, I wish there was an electrician out there. Like, he's working on something electrical, and It's something that you would ordinarily see. Like, it's switching around lights. So it flows organically. I'm not sure what the purpose of him being out of work, like whether or not he has work, I don't see how that changes things.
Well, I mean, it just makes it harder. Actually, it literally kind of doesn't change anything because when he dies, it's not like, I mean, no offense, but he wasn't even providing. So.
Hey! Wow.
I'm sorry, he wasn't providing for Aunt May.
He painted her porch. He did what he could.
He painted the kitchen.
Oh, the kitchen.
Yeah,
he did what he could. He did what he could.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying
I think what Sam Raimi was thinking is...
making them super poor.
No.
Oh.
What? No. Is to actually... Yeah, that's why Spider-Man had to go wrestling. Because it's not like he could ask for any money for a car.
That's true.
And it's not like he could borrow his uncle's car because his uncle's car was a piece of garbage. But they could have done that without him working. I kind of see why he did it. And I'm thinking he also did it to get sympathy.
Yeah, I think it was kind of definitely a big part was the sympathy card.
Yeah, humans gravitate towards the underdog. So if you want us to like a character, make them the underdog.
Yeah.
Which is why, when we get to Iron Man, we have to talk about how the achievement that is Tony Stark.
True, because he is not the underdog.
He's a rich guy. Again, he's a rich jerk.
Yeah,
They made us dislike this character. They were fighting an uphill battle.
They made, in the very beginning, I was like, I don't like this guy. But then by the end, I was
he's
like, whoa.
One of the most beloved characters in cinematic history. Even ignoring superheroes. Cinematic history.
Yeah.
And that achievement cannot be understated.
For sure.
And Iron Man 2 and 3 didn't help. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
we'll get to it.
Yeah, so...
and then they do up graduation.
Oh, I have double exposition too. Oh, remember? So he comes in and she's like, "You want any food?" He's like, "No, I'm not feeling well right now," and he runs upstairs and passes out on the floor with his little blanket. And then I thought it was so cute. He just kind of falls and grabs the blanket and he just kind of hugs it. I'm like, sometimes life is like that. So then...
Especially when you've been bitten by a radioactive spider.
I know.
It was really relatable.
Very
it's happened
relatable.
to me Oh, fun fact. There's a Spider-Man villain that was, hated Peter Parker, and he found out about his origin, so he ate the spider. And he turned into a bunch of spiders.
He did?
Yeah.
He turns into a bunch
I'm not going to tell you more, because the comic is really freaky. But it gets a bit freakier than that, by the way.
Okay, never mind.
Anyway, so if anyone was curious what would happen if Peter had eaten the spider, that's what would have happened.
But the acid of your stomach.
Okay, but spider bites don't give you superpowers.
Gets in your blood. Anything. I mean, you never know what gets in your blood. It could change your DNA.
Look, okay. I've got a spider on the wall right there.
What kind of spider?
I don't know. It's not bothering me. So I'm not going to bother it. One of God's creations. I'm going to take it and put it on you, and it will bite you, and we will see how many superpowers you develop.
Well, I guess we should take out its DNA. Anyway, never mind. So, but while he was laying on the ground with his
Did you know that spiders don't have muscles?
What?
Mm-hmm.
What do they have?
They use their blood.
Oh, they must have really good blood pressure.
Yeah, to pump it around to move things. It's actually really cool.
I wish I had blood pressure that good.
Yeah, but they need less blood pressure because they're small. We're big.
Oh, they small beans.
They don't actually have lungs the way we do. There's something called book lungs.
Oh yeah.
Where they don't have a sac to go. So we can't get away with that. So
no, we're
can't
too
scale
big.
things up. Too big and fat.
So when he's laying on the ground from the spider bite, it starts narrating for us. And it starts showing you take out the part of the DNA. I mean, it's pretty classic. You take out part of DNA, put the red and blue DNA in. So that's why I think I wrote double exposition, because it kind of explained.
Kind of already had it explained.
Yeah, and
didn't
so
really
they just
need
kind
that.
of
could have just left it with the visuals.
Yeah, I think so, because I can't remember what they said now, but they said they were talking about something. So
Okay, and then graduation.
Wait. No.
Oh wait, no,
Green
they
Goblin.
had. No, they didn't have. I think Green Goblin was after that, and that's why I talked about the parallels between their origins. And then he goes to school, and I have to talk about this. The scene where the tray drops and he catches everything. No CG. He actually did that.
Many takes.
And
that was impressive.
What they do is, I think they kind of show Spider-Man beginning to walk the road of Green Goblin.
They do.
Because Green Goblin, the first thing he does is starts getting revenge on the people who wronged him. And the first thing Spider-Man does is he gets revenge on Flash.
Right.
Which, why the students didn't remember webbing?
Right?
Like, if there had been no webbing, I think they could have gotten away with it.
Yeah, but then he accidentally grabbed the tray.
Yeah, and then...
and then when he beat up Flash, pretty much. And then Mary Jane was like, really, Parker?
Okay, I don't like Mary Jane. I'm sorry, I just don't.
Yeah, at the end we'll have to decide who we hate more, Mary Jane or Lois Lane.
Lois. Like, as much as I think Lois is kind of like... I mean, Mary is kind of like an idiot. No, I don't like her. Gwen's for me.
Really?
Yes, I will go with Gwen
I
over
did
Mary
not
Jane.
know that. I thought you were a Mary Jane person.
I'm talking as a character.
And as not a character, you just like
my
wife.
Redheads.
Hey.
I am legally obligated to say that.
Well, that is true, but...
Can't say anyone else.
I'm also a girl,
but
so...
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone?
That's who played Gwen.
Oh. The blonde?
Yes. That's Emma Stone.
Oh. In The Amazing Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Oh.
And in Spider-Man 3, I think.
Didn't she die?
Yeah, in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yes, but I've never seen that.
I've never seen either of them.
I watched the first one with my sister because...
We aren't reviewing Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh,
we're reviewing Spider-Man.
Sorry.
We aren't that amazing yet.
Not yet.
But by subscribing to our podcast, you can make us amazing enough.
You can review 2 movies at once. Sigh.
Yes, in fact, we are going to review every single movie at once. And that's what's called, what's called a dread promise for us becoming sellouts.
Lols. I have Peeping Tom written in my notes.
Who's a Peeping Tom?
I was trying to. Oh, remember
when
he
was
wakes
looking at
up
her, and he just
the
looks at her,
and she's. I think she's just. I don't remember what she was
doing something with her hair or something.
Brushing her hair.
I'm like, what a weirdo.
I know, and he's just staring at her. I'm like, girl, you need curtains.
Yeah, get some curtains.
Yeah.
I love blackout curtains.
Me too. Honestly, all I have is blackout curtains.
Dude, I thought no one was home when I came by your house because I'm like, blackout curtains.
Because it's all blackout. So I thought that was a little, kind of made me dislike him a little more. I guess it was supposed to show that he really likes her, but that's creepy.
Dude, Hollywood has no sense of morals. They probably think it's romantic.
Like Twilight's romantic?
Avoid it.
Like Rose and Finn is romantic? Oh, darn. It came back.
That's the dread promise. That's how we win, Finn. Not by fighting those we hate, but by saving those we love.
I'm pretty sure Finn does not love her, though.
And then he got sexually assaulted.
Yes! Poor Finn, just trying to sacrifice his life to complete his character arc.
Now, well, I wouldn't mind Kelly Marie Tran forcibly kissing. Oh, wait, I would. Yeah, that's an entire trope of media. Oh, men won't mind if a cute girl kisses them. Yes!
Yeah, just like women would mind if a cute boy tried to kiss them.
Yeah, like...
I would stab anyone who did that. Complete shank.
Dude, I'd like I'm here trying to sacrifice myself and save everyone's life, and she knocks us out of the way, nearly gets us killed, and then she's
nearly kills
kissing
you
me.
and her.
I don't even like you like that. Like, I mean, I guess you're all right, but well, now you're not. Like,
you're definitely not. And the confusion on Finn's face was
it's hilarious. I'm wondering, did they tell the actor this?
I don't know, or if he was just like, they just didn't tell him, and he's like, wait, what's going on? Wait, what? Huh? And then it was just a complete surprise. Or if he just thought it was a stupid thing in the
I know John Boyega fundamentally disagreed with how his character was played because he talked about how he first tried to make Finn very serious. Mm-hmm. And they're like, you have to be all jokey and stuff.
Yeah.
The Marvel effect. Speaking of Marvel, Spider-Man is Marvel. And we're back to Spider-Man. That is what is called a great transition. Everyone.
Look at us being great.
Yes, that's why you listen to us.
Oh, yeah. So he chases... Oh, so he chases the school bus again because he does the whole peeping Tom thing.
Yeah.
And then she's walking out and she looks sad or whatever. And then he's walking and then he starts, "Hi, Mary Jane. Oh, hey, Mary Jane." And he starts talking to himself. And then her girlfriends show up and she jumps in the car or whatever.
So he's like, she likes cars.
Well, no, that's later because remember when her boyfriend shows up?
Oh, yeah,
Flash
because
shows
Flash is her boyfriend.
Yeah. No, she jumps in the car with her girlfriend. And then the school bus goes by and then he's like, wait, no. So... then he misses the bus, I think, or something. And then we have the whole school where he's like, whoa, I have webbing coming out of my wrist.
Yeah, we kind of skipped around a little bit. Oh, well, that's what happens when you going from poor notes in memory. Okay, so, and then that evening talks to Flash, talks to Mary Jane. I don't remember anything in that conversation. Just, like, making us sympathize with her, because, like, making someone abused is another good way of making us sympathize with you.
That is true.
Again, but it's shorthand. It's all right.
Yeah, but then also we kind of with Peter because he forgets to go home early and help them paint.
Yeah.
So he's realizing that at school he has powers, and so he goes and he tries stuff and he does the whole wall climbing thing.
Have you seen Corridor Digital Spider-Man rated R?
What? I don't know.
It's hilarious. They do CG. They CG a bunch of that stuff, and in one of them, when he swings and he hits the billboard, they make it so he explodes in the body parts. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's so gross. Anyway, so I mean, I think it's a pretty common scene, but then he does the whole. He's like, "Fly, web, fly," and he figures out all those hand gestures. And it just so happens that it's the same. That was kind of... I know that they made it so that it was in his body rather than, web shooters.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was the normal way until I learned it was not.
Yeah.
Because I used to argue with people and say that was what it was, but I was wrong. So... Okay,
a very common occurrence.
No. It is not. Luckily, I just don't know those people anymore. So that was kind of odd that it just happened to be this.
Well, yeah, I mean, they can make his powers work any way they want.
I guess. I just thought it was kind of contrived, but I mean, I know that they kind of changed it a little bit. So
doesn't really impact. I don't think it impacts the quality of the writing.
I mean,
it's iconic. You have to have the thwip and the little, the hand thwip. That's actually copyrighted. Thwip? If you're writing a comic, you can't put thwip in your comic.
Interesting.
Because it's copyrighted. And I think shink, or whatever it is, the thing for Wolverine's claws is also. Because, those are iconic.
Right. Yeah. Then he explores his powers, and then... So, we see that at this point, he's putting his powers over his family.
Yeah, which is really good. Again, we see him turning into Green Goblin.
Right.
Granted, Spider-Man is a menace to society.
No, we're not even there yet. So...
Where? I'm just pointing out he's a menace to society.
Okay,
he runs around destroying properties, slamming into billboards like a juvenile delinquent, starting fights in school and throwing food. He's a menace! A menace, I tell you!
I would also like to say that he took out half of a trash bag. The trash bag was half empty. As a person who pays for trash bags,
we can see he does not.
Offended me.
Yes, we can see that he did not pay for any trash bags.
Yeah, and also their trash is in the back.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they went to the backyard.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember. He went out, he took a half-empty trash bag out. He put it in the trash can
That's in the
backyard.
Well, some people have trash collection days, so maybe they keep it. Okay, maybe it's HOA because the homeowners association
that exists.
might not like them having trash cans in the front. So that's
Goodness,
that's
I don't
fine.
have HOA.
I mean, I assume Sam Raimi does, living in a ritzy neighborhood or whatever.
That's true. I don't live in the city.
How much is he worth?
Sam Raimi?
Yeah.
I do not know.
60 million.
$60
Wow. Okay. 60 million. That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
If he could send a little bit.
Yeah, just a little,
just
just because
we are talking about how amazing his film is.
You're give us a little
just
bit
please don't watch the Multiverse of Madness episode. Doesn't exist yet, but don't watch it.
Did Raimi do that?
Yeah, he did.
He did?
Yes.
How is it so bad in comparison?
He didn't write it though. I think he wrote this. Did he write this?
Did he
I know he directed them both.
Huh. He directed them both.
No, he didn't. He didn't write Spider-Man. It was this David Coep guy.
Oh, well, maybe we should actually be talking about this David Coep guy, not Sam Raimi.
Oh wow, he's the 9th most successful screenwriter of all times. His movies have grossed $2.3 billion.
What other movies has he done?
Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, Indiana Jones, and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh.
Or some other ones. He also did. Let's see. I can't see any other like really good films. So he's written some pretty good films. A couple of good ones. Jack Ryan. It's funny though how writers when it comes to films really go up and down. I'll give an example. So you've watched Schaeflerus or whatever his name is, the guy who has Tamatoa as his profile picture.
Huh?
You okay? So you know who Tamatoa
is,
on right?
YouTube?
Yes.
Oh, I doubt it.
Okay. Anyway, this guy. So he loves Shrek 2. Won't stop talking about it, but he hates the Smurfs. Same writer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I've noticed that writers in Hollywood have very, very inconsistent outputs.
Huh. Maybe it's just all the other kind of political stuff that's going on.
Yeah, and I don't mean politics as in Democrats and Republicans. I mean studio
like,
politics and stuff.
Yeah, individual.
Yeah, it could be, or the director. Because, like, he gives him a script, but the director can mess things up.
Right.
Or make it good.
Yeah.
I do think we need to appreciate screenwriters more.
Yeah, I think so.
Screenwriters are better than directors. I said it. Okay, I'll be honest. I don't understand why we care about producers very much.
I don't know either. I always thought it was just the person writing it, and for the longest time I thought the person that directed wrote it.
That's because in some cases that does happen.
Yeah, in some cases, which is probably the better way to do it if you know how to direct.
So you can have a unified vision. Alternatively, I think the screenwriter really should work very closely with the director.
Yeah. To
get a shared vision on screen.
Right, yeah.
But what was my point? Oh, yeah. Yeah, producers don't matter. I mean, producers are important, but I'm saying a movie isn't made good by the producer.
No.
Granted, it could be ruined by a bad producer.
For sure.
But producer, it's about logistics and business and stuff.
Yeah, and less about the
getting art. Because, there's the old joke, without the producer, the director would spend all the money on the first scene.
Very true. Very true.
But yeah, so after they talk, Mary Jane goes and...
She goes
into his car.
Into Flash's car. And the Spider-Man just kind of looks on, he's like, and then does this transition to him opening and looking for a car.
Yeah.
And it was all...
It's very nice. Mary Jane. He likes Mary Jane. Mary Jane likes cars, so he wants to get a wrestle. So he wants to get money, and he sees the ad for wrestling.
I just wish that my car had been that much.
$2,000.
Yeah.
Wait, how much is that adjusted for?
It's 2003.
Yeah, that's 2003. Yeah, so let me pull up the inflation calculator. Dude, that's still cheap. That's $3,235.
What? What is $3,000? Because that's how much he was going to get.
No. Well, that's how much. If we were gonna buy the car was $2,000, right?
It was $2,995.
Oh, $2,900.
So
okay.
Up to $300. It was almost $3,000.
So let me just put $3,000 into the calculator. Calculate. That's $4,853.
4,008. Yeah, that's a cheap end.
That's a very cheap car,
Mine
and
was
that
about
car didn't really look.
So
mine was $6,000 too.
Yeah.
And ours were used.
Yeah, I don't know if those. That's what I was trying to remember if those were used.
I can't remember. Might have been. It would have had to been used. Which, to be fair, used cars have gone up in price more than the inflation rate.
That is true. Just because... But we're not talking about economics.
Anyway, so he goes wrestling, which I like the scene. I thought it gave us a good early action, and it kept a good pace.
I thought so too, because it's at this point that we've kind of introduced all the characters, and we've introduced the whole Spider-Man thing, and then we've gone to the school that was kind of a little bit of some not action. It was
kind of action because he was fighting.
Well, I mean, it kind of was action. It was kind of some conflict. That's what I really want to say. So it's kind of some conflict, but then we need some more conflict, because as the conflict goes on in the story, you gotta ramp it up.
With Bonesaw!
Bonesaw! Honestly.
Which, to be fair, who said it was a cage match, man?
It did not say it was a cage match, but it worked out better for him than it was, because he can go up top.
I don't want to get in the ring with Bonesaw. Weight classes exist for a reason.
Exactly.
I love how they roasted him. We don't have a featherweight division.
I know. He's like, no, just put me in. Like,
no, I wouldn't go up against Bonesaw. You know, I have martial arts experience. I'm not exactly a noob, but just his weight and his size alone makes me not want to. Could I survive? I mean, maybe. Maybe if I trained for a month or so, I could survive, but there's no way I could beat him. But then again,
I mean, other than going for kill shots, no.
Yeah. Just hit him in the knee with a low kick, maybe?
Maybe.
But this is wrestling, not martial arts. I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know what's allowed, or...
There might be rules.
Aim for the head.
I wouldn't do that.
I know, that's the problem. I hate head injuries.
Yeah.
Every time.
I don't know. I'd probably aim for the face, but that might not be allowed. And
I don't know. Solar plexus are covered with too much muscle.
There's too much there, man.
There's just
also,
too much.
I don't want to touch...
No! His costume was almost to his belly button.
Yeah, well, that's how wrestlers go. They gotta show off their...
I know, but that's why I don't watch wrestling.
I don't watch wrestling because it's stupid.
It's all...
Unless you like wrestling and watch us, then it's a very intelligent display of writing and all that. Wrestlers are actually not bad actors.
Yeah, because it's all fake.
Yeah, it's all fake. So, you know, when they go into acting, they're not actually that bad.
Yeah. Oh, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Can he pull out an act? Can he act?
I don't actually know.
I don't think he tries. I don't think he cares to try, which, to be fair...
I think he just is him. Like, he just kind of plays
himself. I think John Cena is the better actor.
He acts? I thought he was just invisible.
No. No, he acts.
What does he act
in? He was good in Suicide Squad. The good one, not the bad one.
Who was he in Suicide Squad?
He was Peacemaker.
Well, see, I haven't seen it because it's too violent.
I value peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, and children I have to kill to get to it. I love that quote. Such a good quote.
Interesting.
You know, he was pretty good in that.
I had no idea that he acted.
Yeah, he does act.
I thought he was just invisible.
Anyway, but continuing on. So he goes through the wrestling.
Oh, yeah, and he gets his name. Because he's like, the human spider.
Spider-Man.
What is it? The human spider. Ah, stupid kid. Spider-Man!
You got my name wrong. Yeah.
He's like, hey, he got my name wrong.
Spider-Man's got more of a zing factor.
Yeah.
Because, you know, coming up names like the human spider, that sounds stupid.
Yeah.
Just like the Incredible Man. Bleh. Yeah. Incrediman sounds better.
True. And sometimes it takes an outside perspective in the heat of the moment.
And, you know, announcers know what he probably changes a lot of wrestlers' names.
Probably.
And one word is better.
Spider-Man. That's true. You never really want multiple, like the Incredible Hulk.
Well, he's Hulk. Well,
I know.
Spider-Man's the Amazing Spider-Man.
That's true.
That's more of a title thing.
Spider-Man, yeah.
Than his actual name. Like, no one yells, oh my goodness, it's the Incredible Hulk coming. They're like, oh my goodness, we're gonna die!
That's true. I don't even say his name.
I wouldn't even bother yelling, oh my goodness. I'm like, I'm out of here. See y'all.
Uh-huh. Why waste my breath? So then he has the cage match. He insults the guy, the wrestler. And...
you know, a few quips, which we gotta have Spider-Man
yeah,
with his quips.
Spider-Man's got quips. He just does.
Which, that's part of his character, so as much as I loathe quips...
I wonder if the reason Marvel kind of got onto the whole quip thing is because of Spider-Man?
No, I don't think it's Spider-Man. I think it's Iron Man.
Oh.
In that they made Iron Man really snarky and sarcastic.
And then they tried to do everybody else that.
And then everyone, and, all these nerds decided snark was an excuse for a personality. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
For sure.
Or when they when people are like, oh yeah, he's just really snarky. No, you cannot be doing my boy Peter Starks. Did I really just call him Peter Stark?
Yeah, I got
Tony Stark.
confused.
You can't do his character dirty like that. It's a great character.
He's just not. He's not. That's not. Anyway.
But yeah, anyway, that's why I disagree with what you're saying. I think the whole quips.
Maybe so. I was just wondering.
Yeah, it comes from Iron Man, which I can kind of see like there being like an influence.
I think I watched this one video where like Iron Man was actually loosely based off of this one billionaire who was kind of, what's the word, eccentric.
Yeah.
And like he had like in the very beginning, you can kind of see he had like this germ problem that like he would wipe his hands a lot with whatever. And I think that's why he wouldn't be handed things or something. But then it just kind of developed and they kind of dropped it.
They could have developed that a bit more.
They could have, but I think it was very subtle, and then they just kind of dropped
it. If it's, I don't know. I'm torn on that.
Yeah.
But we'll discuss it. In fact, we could do Iron Man next week.
That's true, we could.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's see. So...
Oh! We missed a important...
Did we seriously miss Great Power with
We missed it!
Oh my goodness. Turn off the podcast right now.
We did.
But please don't.
We had great power, and yet...
That speech is the mentor pep talk speech.
Yes.
And honestly, it's what stops him from becoming Green Goblin. And it's the whole theme encapsulated in an organic way. Because Ben wants to be the father of Spider-Man, or Peter Parker. Right. And so, he wants to be in his life. And I think he does it better than Harry Norman. So, he goes in, he's like, look, I don't understand what you're doing about, but, I know this. You're getting into fights at school. Sure, you have to stand up to bully, but you have to remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Right. And
that's the catchphrase of old Uncle Ben.
So organically.
It's very organically done. It's honestly one of the greatest quotes in movie history.
It is widely quoted. Even people who haven't watched Spider-Man, I feel.
They know it, and it's quoted not just like Luke, I am your father is kind of like a meme.
It is, yeah.
But like as a good part of it, a good piece of advice.
Right.
Because, and I'm going to get religious here. In Judaism, we actually have this concept that if you're really righteous, something that's a sin can be a sin for you, but not a sin for the common person. Like, for example, the sages go on about David and Bathsheba, and they explain why it wasn't actually a sin. You're like, oh, but it was sin for David. Yes, because he was at such a higher level. If you or I did that, we wouldn't have been held guilty. Because he had this great power and great righteousness, he had equal large amounts of responsibility. So I really think, it's a very important concept you have to understand because, okay, I'll give you an example. Let's say I tell a fake story. I mean, obviously it's not good, but at the end of the day, who cares? It's not a good idea to lie, not saying don't lie, but it doesn't have much of an effect on this world. Now go to the President of the United States, and he tells the same story, and it can have far-reaching effects. Because he has so much more power than me, so he has to have much more of a responsibility to tell the truth. Because at the end of the day, my lies affects me and affects, the people around him. His lies affect the world.
Yeah. I think that is a good summation of the sentence.
Yeah, and I mean, it's great. We can go on and talk about this sentence for a long time and go on the concepts.
Yeah.
But this is writing class, and I just got to say, one of the best phrases. I hope that writer got a bonus for that phrase.
Yeah. Maybe he should have just taken the phrase and copyrighted him for himself.
He just steals.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
like, hey, I wrote it. That's fair.
There's a theory. So you know how Disney owns everything that an artist draws, even on their own time, as long as they're hired?
Oh.
There's a theory that Disney owns a bunch of adult material of their characters because artists who are mad about that will draw adult material of the characters just so Disney will own it.
Oh my word.
As like revenge.
That's kind of funny.
That is, yeah, kind of funny. I mean, it's kind of garbage. You know what? You draw something in your spare time and it belongs to Disney, but...
Yeah, that is garbage. Yeah.
Okay, and then, it shows... Immediately after the great power with great responsibility, we have the wrestling, and then it shows Peter not taking responsibility. I missed the part where it was my problem. It's your problem because you have the power.
Right. You have a responsibility to help someone if you can.
Yeah. And that's honestly, that's a really good message. And that there's a lot of people, who say, I missed the part where that's my problem. Or even they'll say, well, I can't do it entirely myself. And I think people do that with, helping people. They're like, I missed the part where that's my problem. You have the power to reach out and to help this person. I'm talking about giving charity, volunteering, even offering a kind word. Because a kind word can really affect someone's day.
Yeah.
I think I heard this one story of this kid, he decided to kill himself. So he cleaned out his locker. And as he was going and he dropped everything, he's like, oh my goodness, I wish I could cry. And then this other kid comes and helps him clean up and says a few kind words to him. Or another one, true story, I heard is about a guy who killed himself. He threw himself off a bridge. And they found the suicide note where he said, I'm going to go kill myself, but if someone stops and says good morning to me, a nice greeting,
yeah,
I'm going to turn around and go back home.
Oh my word.
No one said good morning to this man.
Was he in the city? I
think he was in San Francisco.
Oh, that's his problem.
I mean,
he was in Louisiana.
As much as I don't want to make fun with that.
3 people, before you even get into the grocery store, have said, good morning, how are you?
Good morning, how are you? And you can have a full-on conversation about how you are, too.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, man, things are great, but my aunt, she's not doing so hot. It's flu season right now, and the way it is with the weather. Oh, man, she's doing bad. They're like, oh, man, bless your heart. My cousin had that last week. I'll tell you what you should do to clear that up. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, it's completely real.
It's amazing.
I've had interesting conversations with people.
And, again, you have the power to reach out to people. Like, we're not all Spider-Man. And that's why he says, with great powers, because power can be anything. The power to reach out, the power to do good, is we all have that power. And the second we see Spider-Man, he rejects Uncle Ben.
Right.
As in by saying, I missed the part where that's my problem, which again is another great quote.
Yeah.
Which is why it's been memed half to death. I love you, Raimi memes.
Honestly.
I love you guys. The one corner of the internet that still thinks pizza time is funny.
To be fair.
It's not funny anymore, but...
But because they think it's funny.
I'm not even joking. I love you guys.
Yeah. I think, we forget that we have power. Even, especially when we were in school, if the older people sat and talked with, the younger group of kids, that was very important to that younger group of kids.
Yeah, there's so much.
So they had this power of authority over this.
The younger child can go home and they can wash the dishes for their mother. That's in their power, and that does so much. And I'm not talking, even in your home, there's an old, there's a Hasidic saying, I wanted to change the world, but it was too big. I wanted to change my country, it was too big. I wanted to change my family, even that was too big, but I changed myself, and then I could change my family, and thus, go and change the world.
Yeah.
And I think this movie actually does really well with showing that, and he got the powers, and then he was able to help his family and help, everyone else. I mean, it's kind of really, I'm not even sure if it was intentional, but I kind of am reading that into it a little bit.
That's what I'm reading into.
I'll admit that I'm reading that into it, but the fact that it's there, at least shows that there's great.
Sometimes movies allow you to read stuff in and allow you to take away different stuff from it.
Yeah, which is part of why stories are so good when it comes to teaching morals and why stories are so important. If we're pitching our existence as a podcast and why we need well-written stories, honestly, this whole discussion is it. And that stories can teach morals better. Because, I can tell you, hey, if you have the power, go help someone.
You're like, yeah, sure.
But you're going to remember this story, and it's going to stick with you. Like Rebbe Nachman was, he like told a story. He tells stories, and these stories would, hold truths within them.
Yeah.
And, there was parables. Like I was just reading the Talmud today, and it was Rava, and he had two students. One was saying, teach us the law, and the other one would say, teach us stories. And so he's like, well, this is akin as if I had two wives. The younger one was plucking my gray hairs, and the older one was plucking my black hairs, so I ended up bald.
Oh, my word.
You remember it. And it's, a good illustration of the situation.
Yeah.
And
I mean, stories just in general, just look at all the parables that Jesus did. They were all for the common people and for people to understand what he was talking about.
Understand, to remember.
Uh-huh. Like, if you're walking along and you think about, like, the Good Samaritan, and suddenly you see someone that you don't like so much, but then you remember, oh, am I going to be a Good Samaritan, or if I'm going to be like the other people? Just as an example.
But yeah, that's our pitch for why we're important. Why writing as an art is very important.
Right, because you want to change people's...
To teach people morality. These stories are how we teach morality as a culture, is to teach our cultural values is through these stories.
Yes.
Which again is one of the reasons why I think Marvel is so dangerous, but
yes,
legitimately
is legitimately dangerous.
Anyway, if you look at it through that. But let's get back to the writing. So, he says that, and then
he's
Uncle
like,
Ben,
thanks, kid. And
thanks.
Then,
yeah, and then ends up...
And then he goes down, and then he sees this crowd of people. He's like, what's going on? Maybe Spidey sense did something or whatever.
Well, rubbernecking.
That's what causes accidents.
Like,
one accident happens.
Dude, if there was a crowd, I'd go over there too.
It's true.
Spider
what's
sense
going
or no
on?
spider sense?
What's going on?
And then, he's like, oh, oh my goodness,
no.
it's my uncle.
That's my uncle.
Yeah, and again, all this is because clauses. He caused his uncle's death.
Unless we're looking at Spider-Man 3 version. Because remember Sandman?
Oh.
Accidentally killed him or something?
Yeah, that ruined the because clause.
It did ruin the because clause. But we haven't watched it yet, so it doesn't exist.
If it is not in our podcast history, it does not exist.
Exactly. Not very much.
And then, he goes and he gets revenge on the guy.
Yeah, he does. But it isn't purposeful revenge, per se. The guy accidentally trips out and falls. But it's the whole Batman thing where, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Oh, I just have a note. Batman broods.
Do you really?
Yeah, just Batman brood.
Oh, he did brood.
He went,
I forgot. He went up on top there and he was just brooding. And like...
Batman should have been there. He's like, get another rooftop. This one's taken.
I mean, it's unusual to be.
It is.
For
so
Spider-Man
to brood, and I think it was fitting. Like,
I
he's
think
got
it was
think
fitting.
things
Yeah,
over
he's got to think I mean, a man just died in front of him, almost for.
He lost his uncle, and both of them was his fault.
Yeah.
Like, if he just grabbed the guy, because he could have just grabbed him, it wouldn't take much.
But then he just sits there at the window and stares at him.
Yeah.
So
he lets his anger get the better of him.
Yeah.
He lets people who are wrong. And again, he's heading towards
he had great
Green
value.
Goblin.
Yeah,
Green
he had
Goblin.
great value.
Green Goblin?
I
think I was saying purple lemon.
Purple lemon.
Green Goblin.
I think because he had the power to save that guy's life.
Or to stop the guy.
To stop the guy from
killing his uncle. And even then, he could have revenge, which, Green Goblin later sees revenge. And we see him thinking over the revenge. And he's
right, so he does try the revenge route. He goes the Green Goblin route very briefly.
Green Goblin.
Oh, no!
You're doing it, too!
Green Goblin. He goes the Green Goblin route very briefly. And he broods over it. And realizes this revenge didn't bring my uncle back. It didn't help anybody.
So he wants to bring his uncle back in a way like the values of his uncle that he stood for.
Right, so that his uncle can live on in his values and how he lives his life.
Which, again, is so good. Again, I loved it. And then we get the parallel with Green Goblin, having his revenge.
Yeah.
was that with the world scene? I think that was with the World Fair was the next scene.
No,
they had the scene with
it was when he's like, who did he kill? He killed some. I just have Goblin has revenge. But then it's like graduation next, and the board members.
Spider-Man Revenge / Goblin Revenge is they're kind of showing them both having revenge.
But I thought he was the board members, because then they're like,
no, he kills them at the World Fair.
Yeah, but I thought he killed somebody else before, because he was
he killed the Hammer guy.
Oh, that's what it was. He was getting revenge on that.
Yeah, so it shows us, the revenge.
Yeah, so they paralleled that. Because that's excellent to have we have our villain and our hero. And they're following the same path, and we are looking at, they essentially at this point have the same values and have had the same experiences. And so now we have to see, what are they going to do? Are they going to diverge? Are they going to keep on the same path? And then they get to a certain point and they diverge. And now they have opposing values. And those values have grown up. The values have grown up side by side.
Yeah.
Now they're opposing. And that is the best.
Yeah, what do you do with power?
Yeah, exactly. And they both think of it differently. And even in their end fight, they kind of mentioned it.
And it honestly, I know it's a trope, you're not so different, you and I, but I think it works here.
Yeah.
When he gasses him, which,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about Jonah Jameson. I just want to talk about that real quick, and then we got to go back to our Lord and Savior.
No.
Yes. The man who will tell us the truth about Spider-Man. I mean, he killed that guy, and he resulted in the death of his uncle. He's a menace, I tell you.
Look, with great power...
He's a menace.
Great responsibility.
Yes, and I have and he has a responsibility to expose Spider-Man as the menace he is. I resent that. It's not it's not slander if it's in print. It's liable.
It's liable. He was
so good.
I really enjoyed him, honestly.
No, I just want to finish talking about New Goblin. I think they did well because they really aren't so different. It's just they took opposing paths.
Yeah, because they were traveling down the same path. And then they made a choice.
Thanks to Uncle Ben. Okay, so Spider-Man needs money. So he sees an ad. So he notices that people, want pictures of Spider-Man, and he can do that.
Well, before that, it's graduation.
They do graduation. No, I thought I have my notes of graduation being earlier.
No, I have mine right now.
Set up graduation with because. That's all I have for graduation, and that's earlier before the wrestling.
That's not. Oh, that means they just set up the graduation. But they didn't show the funeral, and then it just made a reference at the graduation that he missed Uncle Ben. Talking to Aunt May.
I'm going to assume you're right.
I am always right.
Spoken like a wrong person.
Is that what that is?
Dude, what
happens when you say I'm always right?
People who think that they know it all are so annoying.
Is that why I hear you say that so much?
For people who actually know it all, like me.
Is that what this is? Oh, yes. I see how it is.
Hey, rule number 1. This is my house. Rule number 1, I am always right. Rule number 2, when I'm wrong, see rule number 1.
Next time we're going to my house, and then I can be right.
Nope. You don't pay for it.
Being right? No.
You have to pay to be right. You have to pay to be. Yes, I pay.
Dear.
I pay $500 to the Right Club a month to be right.
The Right Club?
Yeah. If you join the Right Club, you're automatically right.
What about?
There's a wrong club, but you join it for free, and
so everyone joins it, and then you have to pay $500 to join
the Right Club. Yes.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
Yeah, and you're the president of the wrong club.
Whoa. Hey, that's look good on my resume.
That's my resume. President of the wrong club. Just do the opposite of whatever I say, and you'll always get it right.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's convenient to be always wrong. Hey, that's why the Reverse Kramer mutual fund does so well. It actually, have you seen it? So there's this guy on NBC, right? MSNBC or NBC?
Yeah, I've heard about.
Yeah, Kramer. Mm-hmm. And, he gives stock advice. Someone did a reverse index. So whenever he says go long, they go short. Whenever he says go short, they go long. Uh-huh. And they beat the market.
That is hilarious. How can someone beat that bad?
You beat the market.
By doing exactly
This is the guy that said buy Netflix the day before it collapsed.
Oh, my word. Maybe he's trying to collapse everyone's economic situation.
He's the president of the wrong club.
That's pretty bad, honestly. That's kind of funny.
Yes, so this podcast has everything. Investment advice as well as writing tips.
Exactly. We're very... educational.
Extremely. Why do I have beat an old lady in my notes?
I have no idea.
Do you have beat an old... Oh, wait. I had to beat an old lady off to get these cranberries to test it.
I did!
That's such a weird line.
That's after, because it goes through like a montage of him saving people or whatever, just to show that he's doing stuff, set it up and such.
Yeah.
And then...
with these tights and these tight little...
Oh my word. All of those interviews
were kind of funny.
But then he sees MJ.
Yeah.
And...
because this is after they move deep into New York, and that's set up, and her desire for Broadway, which she can't act. Why would she go into Broadway?
Exactly. But then he finds out that she's dating Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a betrayal with his friend, Yeah. And Harry's like, well, I mean, Harry does have a good point. Like, you didn't do anything.
Never made a move.
Like, when does the statute of limitations of claims on women expire?
As a woman, I resemble that rumor.
Wait. Women don't have claims on men where you're like, oh, I kind of like that guy. Please don't date him. Like, you don't do that?
I never had that issue with my friends, but maybe other people do.
I don't know. But, there's kind of, like a bro code on that. But you gotta...
yeah, there is kind of like a girl... you just
I guess, it's kind of like a little bit rude.
You don't date your best friend's ex.
Yeah.
I have had friends who've done that, and they're not friends anymore.
Okay. I can't... It's more than that. It's more than that.
Well, that's true.
Way more than that. Oh, we should write a Mean Girls sequel just based on that.
Oh, my word.
But, anyway, so, yeah. So, kind of, Harry has a good point, but we like Peter, and Peter's upset, so we're like, I don't know. I'm not sure how much I like it, but it does provide...
I kind of felt for both of them.
Yeah, I kind of felt for both of them, which I guess is all right, because you want to have a bit of conflict.
Yeah.
But I know exactly why he did it. Mary Jane has to be at the World Fair.
That's true.
So they have to set up that because clause.
She had to be up there in order for Spider-Man to rescue her. So...
I have where is MJ answers immediately. What is that?
Huh?
I think my notes are getting less and less comprehensible. Also, I feel like I stopped my notes in the middle.
Yeah, I have a lot of blank pages. So they're at the World Fair, and he has his camera, and that's why he sees them. Because he has a camera job.
And, he sits there kind of bad.
Then he sees them together.
I don't think I took any notes on that scene.
Oh, I did. That's all I took, though.
That is all.
Well,
it's a good action scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
the kid wouldn't move out of the way.
Dude, you stupid kid, get out of the way.
And also when that pole hit the guy on the head, that literally hurt me.
Ugh, physically. That hurts. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, it looked like it hurt majorly. So then
I love Spider-Man as a character because his action scenes are so good.
Yeah, they are, because the way he moves is just so different than
any other hero. Because, the last thing we need is another hero that just does, punches and stuff.
Yeah, everyone does that.
And I think that's part of the reason why people like Black Widow is she has a different fighting style.
Sure, she does kind of move more similar to him than anybody else.
Yeah,
not completely, but
she's her own thing.
Yeah.
And, it works.
Yeah, everyone's got to have a gimmick these days.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think action scenes are really good to show the character, and just
And also, it's the way that you get to know a character is through decisions. Yeah. And action scenes are perfect for this, because you have this decision, you have Peter, or Spider-Man at this point, sitting there being like, move kid, or whatever, and he decides, what should I do in this situation where balloons are falling and poles are going this way?
Save.
And he has to figure out how to save all these people.
Yeah.
And
it really continues in the theme, with great power comes great responsibility, because probably could have chased down Gobby.
Yeah.
Is he focused more on saving people than getting his revenge on Gobby.
That's true. There's also that juxtaposition. So I wrote down is that we had all these montages of him going and saving people. It wasn't a big deal. He didn't have any issues. And then he meets Green Goblin, and it's someone that he cannot defeat. The only way that he gets away is that he sabotages his little flying thingy. Also, can we talk about the bombs that just
turn people into skeletons? I assume he only had one of those.
He must have. Maybe he only made one of each.
Maybe because honestly I think that's a legitimate plot hole. Why didn't he just use that against Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we could say, oh, he wanted to team up with him, but later he wanted to kill him.
Like, yeah, later he did, and he didn't use them. Like in the burning building, he could have.
Why didn't he just throw that?
Yeah, instead of things that Spider-Man could dodge.
Which I will appreciate the fact that he got found out is because of those things.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
It was very interesting, but after
we're going too fast. Oh yeah, and then MJ is falling, so he grabs her, and then you have the
swing to another garden,
and he's like, "What did he say? Oh, something about Ella." Anyway, he made a quip, and then he just like was gonna run, and she's like, "Wait, who are you?" He's like, "You know me, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man."
Yeah, there went your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Like, I do. Anyway, it was kind of funny.
It was kind of a good decent line, and then right after this is where he goes to J. Jonah Jameson, right?
No. First of all, we have the insanity scene.
I loved this scene. It was if you can go and watch this scene on YouTube.
Yeah, it's just on YouTube. It is
so good. You know, William Dafoe really wanted to play this role. Like they didn't want him. He had to like fight the studio. Yeah.
He did so good.
I think that's what convinced him is because his B-roll, like, you know, his tryout footage was so good.
Yeah. That's insane. I mean, it's just, you just have to watch the scene because of how good and the way
it's one take.
Yeah. And he just, the way he switches and everything.
That's acting.
Yeah. It's really good acting.
Honestly, I'm up for watching anything with other William Dafoe movies just because of that acting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Didn't he play Jesus? I think he did, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Look, I only see Bruce Marciano as Jesus.
Nah, Mel Brooks. I listened to a rabbi talk about the what's the movie Passion of the Christ, and he's like, that's not Aramaic, that's a ha language that they made up.
I mean, fair. That's kind of funny. I've never seen Passion of the Christ because I think it's rated R.
Yeah, I've also heard that it's very anti-Semitic as well, so I'm going to avoid it. Yes, here it is. William Dafoe.
As Jesus. Okay, I cannot. Whatever that movie is, I cannot watch that because.
I'm just going to see Green Goblin.
Green Goblin as Jesus.
He owned that role, man.
I kind of only see him as evil now, so. And insane.
Well,
he's such a good, insane person.
So good. Scene is so good. And then I think we go to J. Jonah Jameson.
Now.
Good. We get to talk about the greatest.
We go.
What?
Yes. We go to J. Jonah Jameson.
We get to talk about the greatest character in comic book history. There's a reason why he's in all 3 Spider-Man incarnations.
Oh, he's in the most recent?
Yeah. He was in the most recent.
The first movie?
I don't remember what. I think in the second one. But he plays J. Jonah Jameson in all 3.
Oh, like the actual actor?
Yes. Like the actor.
Oh.
Same actor.
He's such a good J. Jonah Jameson.
I know. I gotta repeat that quote again. Slander, I resent that. When it's in print, it's a libel. He owned that role.
Absolutely. He makes me enjoy Jonah Jameson.
Yes, and he is 100% right. Spider-Man is a menace.
But while we're seeing his praises, right? So J. Jonah Jameson, he's a jerk or whatever.
Yeah,
and
we have to analyze.
He seems like he doesn't care about anybody, even his wife or whatever. He's like, wait, there is something your wife called or something.
Yeah.
It's like whatever's cheapest or something like that.
Yeah, send her some flowers. Whatever's cheapest.
Yeah, something like that. So, but It seems like he doesn't care
He's
about...
got such an on-screen charisma, though. Honestly, a lesser actor could not have pulled it off.
No.
We would have hated the guy. He's a jerk.
Yeah. And then, in Superman, we have...
Perry White is forgettable.
Yeah. Completely forgettable.
Granted, okay, so J. Jonah Jameson is actually essential to the plot. Perry White is not.
J. Jonah Jameson does have some... Yeah. So, but I thought it was interesting with his character in that it seems like he doesn't care, but then Green Goblin bursts the window open or whatever.
This is a later scene.
This is the same scene.
This is the
scene
same
that we're at. Yeah.
No, it's a later scene because he gets the introduction.
We already did the introduction.
No, the introduction with J. Jonah Jameson, and he sells the photos, and then
because he went to the World Fair.
Okay. Anyway, but
that was before.
There's the old, there's the old saying, when a man faces death, you see what kind of man he is. Yeah. And he could have said, "Oh, it's Peter Parker," that gets the picture. He's like, "We don't know. They come by mail."
Yeah. So he showed his true colors and did not tell Green Goblin, who was he could have killed him. He did not tell him who brought the pictures. Now, does he know why this is super important? It's just, I do love the fact that he is a jerk to everybody, but in a life and death situation, he will lie for you.
Yeah, he'll come through.
He will. He will keep your secrets.
Say what you want.
Even if it's not a secret.
Yeah, even if it's not really a secret.
If he sees that you're in danger.
And I think that scene right there really endears him. First of all, he's very entertaining to watch.
He is hilarious.
So we already like him.
Yeah.
Because of that. But as a character, we can see he's a complex character, and that's done well with a few scenes.
Yeah, because he was only in 2 or 3 scenes that I can remember. The introduction, maybe another one, and that one was Green Goblin.
Yeah, he's just... I love him.
Honestly.
Can't talk enough.
So then after that, Spider-Man just
so he gasses
pops
him.
Down. He gasses him, which I guess they can go through spandex. I feel like it'd be hard to breathe in spandex.
Well, maybe that's why he got him with the gas.
After the whole age of masks.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Can you imagine how bad his BO is after he takes that off?
Oh.
He probably has to launder that every day.
Well, wasn't it in one of it where he turned something white pink or something? He went to the laundromat.
And he turned all his clothing
pink.
Yeah, because...
Yeah, there is something in one of
I've never actually done that to clothing.
Oh, I've done that to...
Even though... Okay, I don't wear red. My wife doesn't wear red. None of us wear red, so it's not really a problem.
I wear pink and red. Actually, I don't wear red at all. I only wear pink. And then I dye things pink accidentally. Because it's not that much clothes. You can just shove it in one load. But...
Anyway, see how wide-ranging we are? We're giving laundry tips.
Yeah, guys, do not put your white and your reds. Now, if you watched it a long time, then you may be able to get away with it. I have done that before.
Yes, which tells us that Spider-Man hasn't been washing his costume a lot.
Ooh.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Oh, man.
Oh, and Mary Jane let him kiss her?
Ew. I'm honestly surprised she didn't gag the second.
Do you think...
Especially raining.
Do you think that he has the little spider hairs on his lips?
Does that mean he could climb with his lips?
Do you he could... They, stick together.
Oh.
And they can't... I think he can choose whether or not it sticks, though.
I mean, he must be able to.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, that...
You just kiss him, and it just feels all itchy, and...
I don't have when they did the kiss upside down in the rain.
I don't either.
That was when he met her randomly. She already knew they were dating Harry.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that scene here. We already talked about the, you're not so different, you and I. We're not so different, you and I. We already talked about it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, we did, because he just takes him up to the roof and smacks him on the head. Yeah. Just the casualness. He just leans beside him and smacks
actually,
him on
we
the
got to
head.
talk about it because he presents a gambit. And then he says, look, all these people, you know what they love more than seeing a hero? Seeing a hero fall.
Right. And that's kind of what that's kind of what J. Jonah Jameson is going for.
Yeah, which is really good.
He wants
to see him fall.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's a menace. He's a menace to society. Look, him and Gabi were talking. They're probably friends.
No.
They're going to team up and destroy everything. We have to get this all in the papers.
No. So, and he does give him that gambit, and then...
Which does get paid off later, which is... I like that.
Right.
And shows, really does... Because, with great power comes great responsibility, really works out when, it results in good. I mean, sure, you should do goodness for its own sake, but it kind of refutes Gabi's, be out for yourself because no one's going to be out for you.
Yeah.
Which is, again, the conflict in this is really good.
I think it also works really well because it could be a legitimate temptation for Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, it's legit. It's not just like join me and be evil. It's like, look, these people don't care about you. Why are you helping them?
Exactly.
Join me and we can, we can do things.
Yeah, because what he's suggesting is not necessarily Green Goblin isn't suggesting, let's go kill people. No, he's suggesting.
You see that puppy over there? Let's kick it.
Oh no.
Oh my god. So have you seen the guy on YouTube? He does the sketches where he does screenshots from the old DC superhero stuff.
No.
Anyway, so it was so Lex Luthor was going through the Legion of Doom, what did you guys do that was evil? And Lex Luthor's like, I kicked the puppy. He's like, oh wow, was it barking at you? No. Was it in your way? No. He's like, oh wow, that's messed up.
That is really messed up. Oh my word.
Oh.
You always go for the puppies or the orphans?
Yes. Not the puppy orphanage.
The puppy orphanage. Oh my word. That's the worst.
Yeah, so it isn't actually he's not saying come be evil with me. He's saying, look, let's innovate. Let's team up and
innovative, because that's how Norman and Peter connect in the first place. They're both smart and they want to be innovative.
Science and innovation.
Yeah, and that is how Green Goblin is trying to connect with Spider-Man. Is he's saying, let's be innovative together.
Yeah, and because movies got a movie, they're not going to team up. But taken as a taken as a scene, it's honestly a scene where you have to... Peter Parker's given a legitimate dilemma, which I think is missing from a lot of these we're not so different, you and I, let's team up scenes.
That's true. A lot of time it's well, obviously he's not going to team up. But in this, you have to have an actual temptation in order for it to feel paid off that the hero rejects it.
And yeah, he rejects. So I think, does it go in, I think he goes into the fire scene next, right? No, I think it is the kiss upside down.
Oh, no. Now it is the kiss upside down in the rain.
I don't know.
Sees MJ and saves her.
She's a cheater.
Yeah,
Peter
she's
is a complete loser for kissing his best friend's girlfriend.
Yeah. I was confused because, he went upside down and then he's she, reached
to be
for
fair,
his and
he didn't do anything. He just let her.
I know, but he's wait. And then she just stops for 2 seconds and then keeps going. So, why did he say wait?
I don't know. The scene was weird, and I feel like it was Hollywood with being Hollywood.
Yeah. I know in, Spider-Man 3 or something, Gwen kisses him upside down. It was in the
and
rain.
That kind of works off as, works as a payoff. Because
it worked well because she was kind of upset at him at the time, and I think she went back to Harry or something.
I don't know.
I forget, yeah.
Doesn't she date J. Jonah Jameson's son in the next movie? I think so.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Who's an astronaut?
Yes!
Mm-hmm.
He was an astronaut, and she was going to get engaged. She was engaged. She was going to get married.
Yeah.
She did. Man, she's such tough luck.
She's a player.
A player. Yeah.
Yeah. Spider-Man should have gotten together with Ursula. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
I mean, she makes cookies for the man.
Yeah, she makes him cake and brings him milk. For no reason.
Yeah. Just to be nice. He's going with Mary Jane.
I know, who's a player and will drop him 2 seconds. The next person, somebody else in spandex, comes around.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Batman goes, hey, I'm Batman. Want to know what secret is? She's like, you're so last season, Spider-Man. I'm with you, Batman.
Exactly.
It's deal with it. And Superman comes by and she's like, oh, hello.
Exactly.
You have brighter colors.
She just moves on and there is no loyalty with her, I feel like.
Yeah, I think her character was written the worst. They could have written it so that she had, take that scene out
Yeah, it's iconic, but
it's
not worth it to ruin it.
It's iconic because it could only be done with Spider-Man.
Yes.
Only he could kiss someone upside down in the rain.
Well, anyone can kiss in the rain. It is the upside down.
Upside down.
Yeah.
So it is an iconic scene, but honestly, I think it's one of the weakest scenes in the movie.
I think it is because what does it show? That he likes Mary Jane? We already knew that. And it shows that she's a playa.
Yeah, it's a useless scene. They could have cut it out in its entirety. And they could have... I kind of see how they want to put some space for Spider-Man to consider it, but I think I would have done something that challenges Spider-Man.
Right, so maybe...
So, like, he saves someone, and the someone just throws something at him, like, screams that he's a menace and to get away from her.
Yeah, something like that.
To actually challenge him.
Rather than just... I mean, Mary Jane, of course, she's going to be like, oh, you're my hero. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, of course, I mean... Spider-Man, she already showed she liked him or whatever.
So next scene, the fire.
At least there was no voiceover saying, "Can he read my thoughts?"
Oh my goodness!
Does he know what I'm thinking right now?
Oh, I don't know what possessed them to have that voiceover, but we're not critiquing Superman.
I already did that thoroughly, I thought.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this: at least she didn't say some weird platitude before kissing him.
Yeah.
Such as, kind of... we're fighting. This is how we win. Yeah, back to the Last Jedi!
Back to the Last Jedi. Always.
That's the universal rule of critiquing.
Always back to the Last Jedi.
Anyway, but we're not going to talk about Last Jedi.
So now we have the burning building, which...
It's a good scene. It's a very...
I thought...
I liked the setting for a fight because I think the setting really helps action scenes.
I think so too because that gives more, like the outside is also trying to kill you. For both of them, it gives obstacles.
Well, not Green Goblin. He's got his little armor in his fight suit.
Yeah, kind of. But like Spider-Man especially.
It kind of it heightens the emotion, and we already have a heightened emotion because he had to save the baby.
That's true. And speaking of the baby, he goes and he saves the baby, and then the police officer says, "Stop right there, Spider-Man. I gotta arrest you," or whatever. That kind of proves what Green Goblin was saying, right? But then he's like, "There's someone else in that building."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm gonna go." He's like, "Well, I'll be here when you come back." He's like, "I'm not coming back." And the police officer lets him go anyway.
And he says, "Go."
That proves...
In a way, it proves Goblin wrong.
Yeah. So I feel like that... I liked that. Just having that without the whole kissing upside down the rain thing.
Granted, I would still throw in someone like...
something...
I'd still throw in an extra thing to, like, try and make it more difficult.
Yeah.
So, he's like, "Have you thought about our offer?"
Yeah, and...
He's like, "No, I haven't." "Wrong answer!" And throws the pumpkin bomb, and he turns into bones. And that's the end of this movie.
The movie.
Anyway, so let's get on to what you thought about the characters. Nope, that's not the end of the movie, because...
He only had one.
Apparently, he only had one.
And he should have.
Where did he even get those? Like, why isn't he... Wait. Why isn't he selling that to the military?
Yeah. Throw that down on a battlefield.
It's like some terror... Like, those are some good grenades.
Yeah.
And if they're cheap, at least a good price.
A decent price. Or even if they're a decent price, you just use them sparingly. Just be like, "Man, there sure is a lot of people there." Boop.
Yeah, or can he make like a mortar version? Because I feel like that would I don't think that would do as good with a grenade. I think it'd do very well with a mortar.
Well, I was thinking like people with gliders and the grenades.
Oh, well, gliders.
Just gliding over people and throwing grenades.
Boop, boop, boop. Wait, but, can you make an upscaled bomb version of that?
Oh.
Can we just drop it somewhere and like... No, but I really do think it would do well as a mortar round.
Yeah, I mean, how does it literally make the flesh disappear?
Just turns them into skeletons.
Yeah, how does that happen, and what is the impact of that on the air pollution? Do you just have little cells of people floating around in the air?
But you forget, he's evil. He doesn't care about
I'm
pollution.
Just thinking about, like, in relationship to bombs, and, like, a nuclear bomb has fallout. What kind of...
Oh.
Would there just...
Yeah, well, if he's vaporizing them, is there, like, do you get burned from, like, hot people?
Hot people. I do not know.
I don't think the
science
writer
behind this
thought about that, because
they just wanted it to be cool.
It's in the comics.
Oh, is it?
You know, his pumpkin bombs are in the comics.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, so he throws the blades and Spider-Man dodges them.
And then one slices his arm.
Which is very important. And again, another because clause, which I...
Yeah, I thought it was really well.
Oh no, this movie's another masterclass in a very tight, well-written plot.
Yeah. And lots of good becauses. So he fights him, and then... Does he escape, or does...
I think he escapes.
Yeah. See, you always have to have an interaction with the villain in which he loses. So in that fight with Goblin, he lost.
He had to get the heck out of Dodge.
He had to, yeah. And even in the first one, the only way that he survived was by sabotaging him and making him go away. So he didn't actually beat him.
Yeah, but we can still,
Yeah. You can't beat them until the climax.
Yeah.
The villain. The hero cannot.
For example, you really shouldn't beat the villain in the first movie of your 3-movie series.
What are you referencing? Don't smile at me like that.
I will let the audience realize what I'm referencing and let her sit there until she remembers it. Anyway, and then goes the quote, I gotta beat these old women off with a stick to get these cranberries.
Yeah, that was a beautiful quote.
So you're violent, man.
Yeah, this man violent.
Uncle Ben's like, dude, that's not what I meant. With great power comes great responsibility.
The responsibility to get cranberries for Thanksgiving.
I did think it was kind of I did like, how he was like escaping from... I felt like Norman was legitimately looking for him instead.
Yeah, because no one ever looks up. And Norman looked up.
Yeah.
But like when he went out the window, he looked up
looked
to
up
the sides and even below, but he was below the ledge.
Yeah.
Also the fact that he was below the ledge with his mask off in Spider-Man costume. No one looks up.
No one looks up.
It's so funny.
No one would have seen that. I guarantee you. There's not a single person that would have seen that.
That's why I always look up.
Yeah, see, I play Team Fortress 2, and there's rocket jumping, right?
Yeah.
So there's a weapon that if you're rocket jumping, you do a critical hit.
Wow.
And it's like a melee weapon. So people will jump around and hit you. So so on certain maps, they like to hang out. They're called Trojers. And you have to look up because they will drop out of nowhere and just destroy you.
Oh my word.
And it's annoying. I've gone pyro just to air blast these fools away. Just to annoy them.
That's fair. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
And they're very easy to tick off.
Oh.
Like you build like a sentry in a certain spot so that they can't, because it reduces their mobility, and these people, they just love their mobility. Anyway, wait, that's an aside. My point is, look up.
Yeah, always look up. So then he comes in.
And so here's the thing. Even him looking for Spider-Man, he still is like, I gotta go, because he still hops. He still realizes it.
What?
Norman still realizes Peter is Spider-Man, because he sees the blood on his shirt. He's like, How did you get that?
And he got clipped by a bike.
And he like stares him, and then they're like,
And it's like, yeah, it was kind of funny because like he put his fingers in the stuffing, and then Aunt May slapped him.
Yeah.
This is Green Goblin, and he just kind of glares at her like, I really want to murder this woman.
I'll be honest, everything Norman said to Harry about Mary Jane was 100% true, and I stand by it.
Yeah. Because once he
and that boils into the mother, and that she probably divorced him. Because he's... And he probably has trauma with that, because he's like, all she wanted was my money.
That's true. He did make a reference, kind of, to his mother.
Which, I stand by that. Mary Jane's a gold digger.
Yeah, I think she just wanted... And then she just likes Peter because he's Spider-Man. And she liked the astronaut because, man, he was rich.
An astronaut.
I think he was rich, too.
Of course, his father owns the most trustworthy and excellent newspaper.
Oh.
Back when newspapers were still a thing.
How do they do it in the new Spider-Man? Because that's more in the...
I couldn't tell you.
I've only seen the first one, and Jonah Jameson wasn't in the first
one. I haven't
one.
seen the first one.
Oh, I've only seen the first one, but I don't really remember much. Because I didn't care that much.
Oh, well, we'll get to it when we get through the MCU.
Okay.
Because we have to watch all the MCU, which is...
Oh, my word.
It's turning into homework, and we're going to skip all of the shows, and it's still going to be homework. Because otherwise, if we did the Loki podcast, it just means...
No! No, please, no. I have not.
Okay, because we're not going to do the Loki podcast, I'm just going to share my idea for my Loki show now, if that's okay. Sure. So if I was in charge of the Loki show, what I would do is I would have had it so Loki, steals the Tesseract and whatever. Because I can't edit Endgame. Because, oh my goodness, I'd edit Endgame.
Oh my word.
Is what he goes and he joins an alternate universe Avengers to try and trick them, build up their power so that he can get revenge on the alternate universe Thanos.
Right, because that is his kind of main goal. Is
trick
revenge.
People. And then, use them as a weapon against, Thanos and Asgard so that he can become king of the 9 realms.
Yeah.
Through trickery. And, okay, do the people forget Loki fought Captain America to a standstill.
And yet he got just demolished by Sif in, 2 moves.
No, he's a great fighter.
Over and over again. That's what really annoyed me in Ragnarok when Valkyrie beat him really
I don't
easily.
like Valkyrie. She's not a good
either.
character. I'll be honest, I think Ragnarok is overrated.
I think Ragnarok's really overrated.
And I say that as someone who likes the film.
I like Ragnarok too, but I think it's really overrated.
But, okay, when we get to Ragnarok, we gotta talk about the Flanderization of Thor. We're talking about Spider-Man now.
Yes.
Anyway,
I just wanted... your Loki thing?
Yes, I just wanted to share that about Loki, and I don't want to go too in depth.
Yeah, because people want Loki and interacting with the Avengers. So.
Okay, people love that.
Yeah.
See him do clever stuff. We're here for Loki.
We're here for someone who goes around and tricks people, and we're like, ha 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 ha, he tricked you.
Ah, you fool! You thought.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want.
No one cares about Sif.
No one cares about the time.
I love Mahler's line. This is not a passing of the torch, but a torching of the past.
It is so true in everything.
That is...
Universe of Madness. Multiverse.
That is... I just want to... If I was doing a review on his thing, this would be the line that I would sit and dissect because it's such a good line. It's got... I'm never going to talk about his stuff, so this is actually... We might actually talk about this quote another time, but whatever, I can repeat myself if I want. But this is such a good line because it's got the parallelism, passing the torch, torching the past. It's got the antithesis as reversing itself. It takes, that trope, and he's saying, look, they want to do this trope, but in order to pass the torch, they kind of have to light the old characters and destroy them and as character assassinate them.
Right, because then they can set up new characters by destroying the old characters, by making the new characters better than the old
who's Natasha's sister?
Yelena.
No, people like Yelena because she's because of Black Widow. No one likes her because of her. I'm sorry.
No one does.
She makes the jokes and she's an awful character.
Oh
wait, Black Widow is in a movie. Is a movie, so we're gonna have to talk about it.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
I forgot it was a movie.
Yeah. Why do you say that we're not gonna have to cover Multiverse of Madness and Thor: Love and Thunder?
I honestly don't want to watch Multiverse of Madness because it's really violent.
Luckily, we have some time to get there. What, you don't like Zombie Doctor Strange? Actually, I think Zombie Doctor Strange could have done very well when it comes to the limitations, but we'll discuss... Honestly, we should really discuss magic systems in depth when we get to that because it's very good on how to write magic systems. Yeah, on how to write magic systems, on how to world build. World build magic systems, and that, gets back to what I was saying. Powers are interesting because of their limitations.
Yeah. Sure.
And, Spider-Man is... But let's go back to Spider-Man. So, because of that, we see the reason for his secret identity because...
That's true.
William Dafoe goes after...
He goes after Aunt May.
And he's making her finish the prayer because the prayer is to him because he's Jesus.
Oh, my word.
Finish it!
Oh, my word.
Why did he do that? What's the purpose of that? She's praying, and then he, throws the bomb, and then he's screaming, finish it,
what was it? The Lord's my shepherd. Is that the one she's doing?
And he will... I think it's, him taunting, oh, he's not going to take care of you.
Maybe so.
Because, he leads us through... I don't remember exactly. It might have been Psalm 23.
That's what I was wondering if it was, but I could not remember.
I don't pray that psalm much, actually, but it's a good psalm.
It's a good psalm.
I pray 145 is the one I pray a lot. It's so good.
Yeah.
Ashreyo shevetecha u'elusela. Yeah, I know the trope. Anyway, this isn't a religion podcast.
We got everything though.
We do.
This is all integral to writing, by the way, because
It
you
is
need to know
actually
a large
integral.
variety of things in order to write.
You do. So having, you need to research stuff. And that's what is it? The guy who did Dwarf Fortress, he's like, man, this thing has made me research all sorts of stuff, like from Roman law to mineral composition. And, I want to get into Dwarf Fortress so bad.
Is it free? Because isn't it like Moria?
It's okay. It is free.
I'd play it if it was just Lord of the Rings.
It is free. You make your own Moria, and if you dig too deep and greedily,
we get the Balrog.
I think you do get stuff, or you can get like,
Bane.
Or like a vampire can like sneak into your base and begin turning dwarves, or there's like a goblin encampment nearby. Or I actually saw this one story where the elves like told the dwarves they can't chop any more trees, so a dwarf did like this. The carved on the wall a scene of them killing elves.
That's really funny.
Yeah,
such a dwarf thing to do.
Yeah,
Dwarf
Dwarf Fortress is it's so good. I'll tell you how in depth it simulates. It simulates all their teeth.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Wowzers.
Yeah, I'll see if I can give you my copy, but you can download it for free. But it uses ASCII graphics and doesn't have mouse support.
What does that even mean?
Like it'll have the letter Z, and that'll mean something.
Oh, so you just use your keyboard?
Yeah.
Okay, that's funky. That's like QuickBooks.
Oh, so download it. You're used to it. No, but it's free. You can just go download it, or you can buy the Steam version.
Oh, I may have to do that because I've wanted to. I just want Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Yeah, you can make Moria. I'm RimWorld. I'm doing a dwarf playthrough right now.
That's funny.
And we got the dwarf king, and he's got a gold throne and a very fancy throne room for him, and they have a very fancy house. It's I don't know. I'm having a good time. I would highly recommend RimWorld.
I love RimWorld. I wish I could play it more.
Yeah. Anyway,
to understand how to do anything other than collect potatoes.
Collect potatoes, but that's half the game. Potatoes. No, actually, I'm not even having potatoes. Because they're dwarves, they grow mushrooms. and I harvest mushrooms. And they actually get upset if you have them eat any food besides mushrooms.
That is great, honestly. I love that.
Yeah, it is great. Yeah. Anyway, continuing on. So
now...
It shows, consequences. Some actual consequences because, she's in the coma. And Mary Jane comes by to... give her respect.
Yeah, and then she sits there and they hold hands until Harry comes in, and then they feel awkward. Surprise, surprise. And Harry's just like, really?
Harry's like, you know what? My dad's right.
Yeah.
Which is
why I think after that, Harry actually goes to his dad. He's like, you were right, Dad. And
he's like, I was.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm sorry, son. There.
Doing
pumpkin.
his, again, that goes into he wants to be a good father.
Yeah, like in that he was trying to help him through.
Yeah, he was very genuine, and he genuinely thought, she was a Blair Witch, to be fair.
She kind of was.
Yeah, and, I find that interesting, he has redeeming qualities. And
you kind of sympathize for him sometimes.
I think Hollywood does the sympathetic villain very badly sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my goodness, why are you making this guy sympathetic and a good guy? It's like, Hollywood's warped sense of morality. But I really feel this.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be a bad father just because you're a bad guy. You can genuinely care for your child because he's your child and still want to murder the board of directors.
Yeah.
Just like,
as you do
stuff.
As you do. Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated.
Yeah, he really cared for his daughter.
Yeah.
Just saying, you can care, like parents, I mean, I don't have children, but like the love that a parent has for a child can be even more than the hate that they have for whoever wronged them.
Yeah. I mean, King David and Absalom.
Yeah. That is
I cannot picture the love that King David had. That, he went and he sobbed over, his son. Yeah, I hope I can love my children as much as King David loved Absalom. Anyway, but continuing on, when it comes to, I think, what was the next scene?
Green Goblin kidnaps
Mary Jane. Kill her! He's like, which one do you want? You're blushing.
Suffer the little
No, it was,
children.
he said something about Mary Jane. He's like, or suffer the little children.
Yeah, he did.
Oh my goodness, he owns.
I mean, it's literally right here a visual dilemma.
Yeah.
He has to choose, and that's fantastic.
And then he chooses both.
And then that's the only problem.
Is this like the time with the two boats? This is nothing like the time with the two boats.
Is that he did choose both.
Which, okay,
there is no consequences.
I think I liked the Dark Knights one better in that Batman wasn't the one who chose. It was Gotham that chose. As in, Joker's like, Gotham's a messed up place.
It proved...
And Batman's like, no, you're wrong. And Batman was proved right.
Yeah. That was tense for me. I remember being like, oh no! What are we going to do? That was more tense than if Batman had to choose something.
Yeah. That was honestly...
That was one of the best dilemmas.
Such a good climax.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take that over 1,000 Marvel climaxes.
Marvels have climaxes?
Oh yeah, when the bad guy comes with all the bad guys and then they punch each other a lot.
Yeah, and then they have some quips at the end.
You want to get shawarma?
Exactly.
Okay, I legitimately thought that was funny.
I kind of did too. Apparently he took the scene several times and that's what they ended up with.
Yeah. Or when he was eating, that was actually Robert Downey Jr. would actually stash food around set.
Yeah, that was really funny.
He kind of owned the role.
He did.
There's not going to be another Iron Man. Dude, I wish I lived 200 years in the future because I'm wondering what's going to happen.
Kind of.
That's one disappointment. I'm not going to see how the story ends.
You presume Marvel's going to end?
No, I meant media. I meant reality. How's it all going to end?
Reality?
No, you look at history and you can kind of see, the 30 Years War ended up with XYZ, but I'm like, what's the Ukrainian War going to end up with?
That's true.
Is this going to be like the Balkan War before the World War I, or is it just going to be this minor conflict, or... Oh, well, I guess it's kind of exciting to see it all play out, but I just went all philosophical.
Let's ask God when you get up there.
I will.
Yeah, so he has to make the decision. He grabs Mary Jane and gets the children at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's no consequences to his choice.
Yeah.
Which...
Should have just let Mary Jane die.
Yeah, well, isn't that what happened with Gwen?
I'm
not sure either, but I wonder if they made that choice and in the end...
Gwen died.
Couldn't save her, and so...
Which, actually, that's it would have been good had, he just failed to save her.
Yeah.
So he takes, that loss, which is good. And then, he's fighting him, and then the New Yorkers come and prove him wrong.
Yeah!
You mess with New York, you mess with all of us!
That's true, because the whole thing is that Green Goblin's like, New York doesn't care about you. And New York's like, we're throwing stuff at Green Goblin.
Yeah, you can't mess with Spider-Man.
Exactly. I thought that was really sweet and it just proved Spider-Man right. I love it when that happens.
And they went somewhere, just to another location.
Yeah, they just kind of went. Okay, I think he grabbed him with his web and it was
slinging around.
And it was this abandoned place that I always thought was this castle.
Or a mansion or something.
Something.
I don't know. And then they fight. And I'll tell you what I liked. So the second wind trope is awful for a reason, because it's wait, why is the hero now winning? Because of the second wind or the power of friendship.
Yeah.
Which, okay, so I liked how they did it in Puss in Boots, in that he pulled out the second blade that had been given to him by Kitty Softpaws, representing his trust in them and trust in the friends, as in its power of friendship, but it's a legitimate blade and it's a legitimate advantage.
Yeah.
So now he has two blades, and so he can fight.
Now I have two swords.
And, well, it was like a little offhand dagger. It was a little dagger. Oh, you gotta watch it. It was so good.
Me too. I just have so much school.
I don't blame you having so much school. Actually, I do.
I blame you for not having so much school.
Yeah. Yeah, well, all I'm saying is you hate it because you ain't it.
You know what?
Anyway, so continuing on with the fight, I really liked how they did that trope, in that all Spider-Man had to do was get him off balance, and then he could never get back on balance.
Yeah, that's the issue.
So it did the second wind trope actually good. It's not that he got a second win, it's that he managed to get one good blow in.
Yeah.
And then because of the way Spider-Man works with keeping you off balance, his style worked with once Gabi was off balance, he stayed off balance.
Yeah. So
I think that worked really well.
Yeah, and in the end...
And he's like, stop, Peter, it's me.
He's like, no, it's me. And that kind of played into the fact that throughout the whole movie, he's kind of been trying to be a surrogate father to him.
Yeah.
And he said, if you ever need anything, I'm here or whatever. And so he kind of plays off of that. He's like, what? It's whoever, what's his name?
Then we kind of see that even with that, he's evil.
Yeah, because you see him slowly moving
with the glider,
hand.
Yeah.
So there is now no difference between Norman and Green Goblin.
Yeah.
They have become one.
Which I think they could have done that a little bit better. But I don't know. I think it could have used an extra 2 or 3 scenes.
What way?
To show that. As in, it kind of comes out of left field.
Yeah, because you're like,
because the last scene we have with
him.
Norman is with Harry, which is a good scene. I like that scene. But
he feels more like Norman at that point, not Green Goblin.
I think maybe they should have had like Norman gloating, beginning to gloat or like a second mirror scene, except not a mirror, but like a second scene like that, kind of showing them merging.
Maybe so. I mean, I know at the end of the mirror scene, he's like, "Just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do."
Yeah, but then they have the Harry scene, which is clearly Norman.
Yeah, that is a little confusing.
I don't know. Maybe that part could do a little bit of work. Work.
But in the end, Spider-Man didn't
kill. I mean, as it is, it works as it is. But I think it could have been done better.
Yeah.
To show that transition, and Spider-Man jumps because why are you trying to surprise the guy with Spidey sense?
I guess he didn't know.
Don't tell Harry.
That was really sad. And Harry finds
out
anyway.
At his last breath was still
Norman.
caring about his son.
Right, his last breath was
pure
still
Norman. Yeah. Honestly, Green Goblin really is a tragic figure, but we'll get to it when we discuss that. And then the funeral scene, Mary Jane kisses him again.
And she's like, huh, he tastes the same.
He's got the itchy spider hairs
on his lips.
Like, is that what it's like when a woman kisses a guy with a mustache? The itchy.
I have never kissed somebody with a mustache.
You've never kissed anyone.
That's also true.
I don't know. I've never kissed anyone with mustaches either.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I have kissed people.
That would be weird if you had.
Hey, you need to be more unbigoted towards bearded women. They are people too. Not that my wife has a beard.
Interesting.
It's just interesting.
I don't know what else to say to you.
Yeah, just say I'm speechless. Anyway.
I'm speechless.
Wait, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. Oh, it does end with narration.
Oh, beginning and end. Stop with the narration. We're just going to not talk about that.
Just no narration.
Anyway, so
now we move on to
characters
and covering anything else.
So, as a character, okay, so I would like to discuss this for a second. In that Superman, one of the things we give Superman a little bit of leeway, and I think we can give leeway for like Batman and stuff, is that these are established characters.
Right.
They're in the popular zeitgeist. Like if I said, what are the 3 superheroes? Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man didn't bank on that. Like I feel Superman banked on that.
Absolutely. Because and yet they still exposition 4 times.
Yeah.
But they also banked on it.
Is there like, okay, you're here for Superman, so you're willing to wait.
True.
Spider-Man didn't bank on that at all. As in, you could not know what Spider-Man was, and I could show you this movie, and it's just as enjoyable. Yeah. And I think that's really what the movie... And that I think movies should stand on their own, rather than standing on the comic books.
Yeah, I think absolutely.
Because they're 2 different mediums. They have different needs and stuff. And what looks okay in comic books looks stupid on film.
Completely.
You see Namor having the wings in the new Black Panther. He's got wings on his feet.
Does he really?
Yeah, that's a thing in the comics, and I guess it's all right, but it looks so stupid.
I mean, you could do the whole X-Men thing and just do a callback to At least we're not wearing yellow or whatever.
Spandex or whatever.
Or spandex or something like that.
I don't know. I think maybe X-Men could have pulled it off.
I think they could have, honestly.
I think a comic accurate out. I don't know. It really depends.
Yeah.
Oh, you know a Batman villain which we need to see? The Eraser. He's basically a supervillain janitor that cleans up after crimes when they're done.
Okay, how's that a villain?
He's in the comics, yeah.
How's that a villain?
Well,
he cleans up. That's great.
Yeah,
Please
but
come to
he
my
removes
house.
the evidence.
Oh, after crimes that were not supposed to be committed.
Yeah, so
Got
he cleans up to make sure. There's a Batman villain that's called the Bad Samaritan.
Okay. They have a lot of weird. Isn't there like Color Man's no? He's a superhero, isn't he?
Polka Dot Man. Color Man is a superhero, but Polka Dot Man's a villain.
He's a villain.
I can't believe James Gunn made Polka Dot Man a good character.
Honestly.
But yeah, so Spider-Man...
It just proves, though, that you can kind of make anybody a good character.
You can make anyone a good character.
Mm-hmm. You just gotta know how to write characters.
And again, Spider-Man is honestly, he's a great character. Yeah. We introduce him as an underdog with him being lame, and we see him overcome his lameness. And his real struggle is, he's been the underdog. He's finally given power. So what? He's going to lash out. He lashes out at the bully.
Right. I mean, everyone who has power wants to. I mean, if someone's tormenting you and you have the power to stand up for yourself, then why wouldn't you?
And you're going to keep going and going and going.
I mean, he's also a teenager, too.
Yeah, a very old-looking teenager.
Well, I mean, I think they're like seniors or whatever.
Yeah, and anyway...
Yeah,
and I think that's really good how it plays into they set him up as pathetic, and then they give him power, and that all goes in, with great power comes great responsibility. This movie is so tight around that theme.
It is. That is, whenever you have a movie or a book, you have to make sure that you have a central theme. Because that's what this is. His character is related to the theme. The villain is related to the theme. Their conflict is related to the theme.
Everything. And even the part where he's like, oh, New York's going to abandon you is because he's attempting to refute the with great power comes great responsibility theme.
Yeah. Everything is related around this theme.
Except for Mary Jane.
Except for her. Maybe that's why she didn't work.
I think Harry... I don't know.
Yeah, I was trying to think about Harry, too. He is more of a foil.
Yeah, he works kind of as he's kind of like the opposite, but he doesn't really have great power.
No, I mean, he's rich, but he never is seen as having great power.
I think he works with characterization.
Yeah, I think he's fine because he's a foil to Peter. They're kind of...
Yeah.
And you have to... I mean, people have to have foils, and it doesn't have to be completely related to the theme.
Yeah, it's good storytelling. The movie would have been worse without him.
Yeah, I think so.
But anyway, Green Goblin was honestly such a great villain. Like, this is the perfect villain.
It's such a good villain for Spider-Man.
Is because, he takes a lab accident, he's given great power, and he could have used it for good, but he doesn't. He uses it for his selfish ends, because, got to look out for number one, and that fits into his character of ambition.
Yeah, because he's in the very beginning, he's like, oh, my dad, Harry's like, oh, my dad could get you a job. He's like, nah, I'm going to do it on my own. He's like, I respect that.
Yeah.
And that's what he respects. He respects hard work and ambition and do it yourself. So that is his character, and it fits very well with what he's... And
with, the theme. And, and honestly, we go back to the when you see a man die, sees true colors, last thoughts was about is the son.
Yeah.
As in, he's really is a tragic figure. Mm-hmm. And I think the Greek tragedy is, okay, I'm not a fan of, like, the Greek stuff, but I like their tragedies. In that, it's about hubris. Mm-hmm. And that's honestly why I love the first God of War. Because, it's great, because it's a Greek tragedy in video game form.
Right.
Even to the killing yourself at the end. Even to the killing yourself. Kratos kills himself. Green Goblin kills himself. He's a Greek tragic figure.
Yeah.
It sets as in, all this is his fault. he does even bad things. The whole tragedy is all fault, and, you know, kind of at the end, kind of the weight literally stabs him.
Yeah.
And very, very tragic figure. Honestly, he's one of the greatest villains in cinematic history. I'd argue for that.
Yeah, I think he has the best motivation. I feel like he's a very well-rounded villain, because a lot of villains are kind of two-dimensional because they want to focus on the hero or whatever. But I think it's just as important to focus on the villain, because they should be opposites. They should be fighting over values.
Honestly, I think Spider-Man did this well, and Thor did this really well, where the hero and the villain start at the same place and then move apart.
Yeah, and I think that's really a good way to do it if you can, is to start at the same place and have them move apart, and then you can show that juxtaposition and that contrast between the hero and the villain.
Yeah, so Mary Jane. She stands on Uncle Ben's grave. I have that as a note.
Dear.
I do. That's a note.
She did stand on his grave. I was like...
She's an awful person.
When we were young and we had somebody's funeral, and we were like really young, and we were walking around, I remember I was walking around and Dad's like, no, you got to get off. I'm like, what? He's like, you don't stand on people's graves. So then I kind of got freaked out because I thought they'd come after me. But...
You just step on one and then he grabs your foot and just drags you.
Out. And I wasn't sure where the grave ended.
Yeah.
You never know how tall someone is.
It's like Shaq buried there. and so you're like, oh my goodness, I'm safe. And you walk on his grave, he's like, oh, no. Who's walking on my grave?
Exactly. But like, even when I was young, I learned not to walk on people's graves. And yet, like, he's sitting there grieving for his uncle, essentially. And she's just like, I'm going to stand and desecrate his grave.
I'm sure he wants to kiss me at this hour.
Yeah, like, he's kind of grieving about his uncle, and she does not care about him, per se. She cares more about her and her feelings, because her feelings right there felt like she should kiss him. His feelings was, I'm really sad about my uncle and the fact that I had this traumatic experience with the goblin.
Yeah.
So she's very selfish in that way, I think.
I don't like Mary Jane. I think that's the long and short of it.
Yeah, I don't like her either.
Okay, so Harry, don't be ashamed. He's not very smart. He's kind of insecure.
Yeah.
And I think that reflects Spider-Man a bit, and that Spider-Man started out not really secure.
It's true, because they were at the same place. And then
Spider-Man got the powers, and he grew, and Harry didn't really grow.
Harry didn't.
I think
he may grow in like 2.
Yeah, he's going to grow more, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need... He's not really...
Like, he's a decent character, you know? He's trying to help.
I enjoyed him, honestly. I enjoyed his friendship with Peter, and I felt like there was good dynamics between them, I felt. And that could also be the acting and how well they went together.
Yeah, and then Uncle Ben, again, he's Thomas Clark. Or Jonathan Clark.
Thomas Wayne. And
Stop. Anyway, he's Jonathan Clark done well.
Yes.
Or Jonathan Kent.
Oh, no. Oh, my word.
See, I was just testing you.
Yeah, right, sure.
Anyway, Jonathan Kent, he's that archetype, which, you know, I've seen Jonathan Kent done well, like in Superman the Animated Series. Or, like, look up the clip where Martian Manhunter goes to the Kents for Christmas.
Aww.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Santa's real in the DC universe, and no matter what Darkseid tries to do, he gets through his defenses and gives him that lump of coal. And it makes Darkseid so mad.
You know.
No matter what, he can't do anything.
I would be mad, too. That's fair.
He gives him that lump of coal.
Man, that's rough. That's just rough.
I love that. But yeah.
Yeah, I thought that Jonathan... Okay. That Uncle Ben was better well done.
He was way better.
Kent.
I kind of like... Okay, so I would not have had Superman cause Jonathan Kent's death, because it doesn't work with Superman. I mean, him dying of heart disease?
Yeah, that's
perfect.
Good. Yeah.
Just perfect. But with Spider-Man, and with the themes presented in Spider-Man, this is much better.
Right, because he caused he had the power to...
Yeah.
He had the responsibility.
To stop that guy, because he didn't, despite his power,
He couldn't save his uncle.
Yeah, and it's because of him. Mm-hmm. And it's so good. Anyway, I think we've already discussed the conflict all the way.
Yeah, a lot with the power and everything. Now, I do have a couple dialogues.
Okay.
Like, when,
I wouldn't want to fight me, neither.
Yes! That was hilarious.
That's the meme line. I love that one. I
wouldn't
fight you. I wouldn't want to fight me. Love that.
And then when Norman comes in for Thanksgiving, he's like, "Sorry, I'm late. Work was murder." It was so funny because he murdered people.
Love that one. Sometimes you can just see things coming. I wrote that down. What was the context of that?
I do not remember. I did not write that much down for dialogue, to be honest. And then I just like the little when Green Goblin gets stabbed, he's just that little oh. Like, it's just like he's like, "Oh, I messed up."
Oh my goodness. Remember we forgot about the scene where Aunt May, is that an angel?
Oh.
They could have cut that whole scene. Cut the whole scene.
Yeah, like most of the stuff in the hospital with Aunt May could have been cut.
It was kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
Could have been rewritten.
Yeah. Not the greatest.
I did like this quote by Aunt May. These are the years when a man changes in the man that he's going to,
into the man he's going to become, I think.
Yeah, something around that.
Yeah. Aunt May gives some good advice sometimes.
Except in the third.
Yeah.
But I like that, and I thought it dealt well with the theme. As you're growing in power, you have to accept the responsibility of being a man onto yourself.
Right. Because you have that responsibility. For sure. And I wanted to mention kind of just the music, because I know in Superman, when Lois Lane was dying, the music was pretty upbeat, which is fair. It's pretty fair. She's kind of bad. So I'm not against that. But
You're mean.
Look,
man. All she was is she was just rude to Clark Kent and annoying and a bit weird. She doesn't deserve
She's really
get
weird.
Crushed to death for that.
Well, that did freak me out. But I'm just saying that the music was a horrible match. But in Spider-Man, they kind of developed the Spider-Man theme. They had some very good matching music. Some
on
good
themes, you have to watch Puss in Boots again, because it's got a really good leitmotif that's in universe. Death has a wolf whistle. And every time
hilarious.
he's coming, he does the wolf whistle.
That's really funny.
Yeah, and it acts as like a leitmotif.
I love those kind of leitmotifs.
And he does the whistle, and you see his hair stand on end.
That's cool. That's
we are
really
going
cool.
to cover that movie one of these days.
Yeah.
We have to.
I also thought it was interesting just going with the music and going with characters. You have Peter Parker and the car thief. He fell out the window and he died. And after that, what theme do we hear? We hear the Spider-Man theme. That shaped his hero.
You know what would be interesting if they put a little bit of Goblin's theme in there too.
That would have been interesting. They kind of did this contrast, and then at the end, which won out?
Yeah,
the Spider-Man theme.
Yeah, that would have been
really good. Having that contrast between them.
Anyway.
But yeah, I feel like they use themes a lot more effectively than Superman.
Yeah.
You just can't beat the Superman theme.
So overall, what's your subjective rating?
Subjective?
Yeah, how much did you like this film?
It's like a 9.
I'd have to agree. It's
okay.
Like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I mean, honestly, objectively, it's got to be an 8 or a 9.
I'm leaning more towards 8.
Just from, like, breaking down, and I'm realizing that a lot of these scenes are kind of useless. Or
some of them are.
Still, though, 8 out of 10.
It's still a really
good
well
film.
written. I think it's definitely a good example of character work and how to introduce,
great character
show,
work,
not tell.
How to introduce. It's just master classes in those. Again, it just drags a little because I don't think it had an idea of what to do with Mary Jane very well. They're like, this is a Spider-Man film, you have to have Mary Jane.
Right, but like
she doesn't
do anything. She does not contribute to the theme of with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah. Right? There's no power with her. There's no responsibility. I mean,
even Aunt May led more into that theme.
Yeah.
Because, with her quote.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's kind of more of a female mentor to him.
Yeah, perhaps Mary Jane will be better in the sequel.
Well...
Don't you cry, Mary Jane. You can try it again when the sequel comes down around.
Oh, dear. Yeah, it was... There's definitely some good things. Definitely a good example of hero and villain. Like, if you're looking for a hero and villain, look no farther.
I would definitely recommend watching this film.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're writing, good example.
Excellent.
Of characters. And that's really kind of what drives things, is characters. Characters create the because.
Yeah, exactly. Characters are supposed to drive the plot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, which is why, it's a character that drops us down.
Yeah, exactly.
So, who do you hate more, Mary Jane or Lois Lane?
Oh, dear. Well, I don't know, because Lois Lane was kind of a jerk, but she never two-timed him.
Okay, I'll give you that. She was faithful to Superman.
She was faithful. Now, a little creepy when she was, but she was faithful. And Mary Jane was not as annoying, but she was...
A two-timer.
She was a two-timer.
Mary Jane's the worst.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah.
Okay, so here's the question. Have we finally found a film with good writing?
I mean, it did have good writing, but was it the best?
It wasn't the best. Still haven't found a film with perfect writing, but in a way our hunt has been partially successful. We found a film with good writing.
Yeah.
And the only problem is it's not in this day and age.
2003, surprisingly, guys, was 19 years ago. It's 2023.
That was 20 years ago.
Oh, my word.
Old woman, here's your walker. Arr!
I need one for sure. Yeah, it's not quite this day and age, but it is a good example, a good thing to compare future films to, with characters.
So, next week, do you know what we're going to be covering?
What?
Iron Man.
I cannot wait.
So join us next week as we see one of the most influential films in cinematic history.
Absolutely. And how to make an arrogant, snarky guy lovable. Until next week, keep hunting.
This podcast was brought to you by viewers like you. Want to support what we do and keep our podcast on the air? Please donate to our Patreon at patreon.com/filmhunters.